this another edition, isn't that right, Jessica?
Yep.
Another edition of our Friday night live stream. Tonight we're going to be doing a live forging demonstration. We will be forging this little wrought iron hammer. So now we've already got the steel faces welded on, both in the tail portion of this, or the peen, and the face of the hammer itself. We are going for a little Scandinavian style cross peen, like so. So this is what we were aiming for, and we're pretty close to that now. I did a little different kind of approach there than what this one is, but it's still a little Scandinavian style cross peen. And yeah, it's going to be good. So for those that are watching this on the replay, it's going to be an exciting thing. Don't feel left out. We have not slot punched and drifted this hole yet in the hammer to accept the hafting of our hammer handle. So tonight you're going to get a little extra special treat, because we are going to not only forge the slot punch, harden and temper it, but we are going to forge the drift as well, and then hopefully slot punch and drift the hole, all in one evening. So we're scheduled to go about 2 hours. Usually we do it from about 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. For all those that are the regulars, this is repetitive, but if you're new, stick around. So it ought to be a fun evening. Huh, Jess?
Yes, it should.
Yep, it should. So who all do we have here in the chat so far?
All right, I think we're having a race to see who is first. For the Honor Forge said hi first, so.
Hello, For the Honor Forge. You are first, sir, I think, from what my information tells me.
County Line Forge, you're a close second. So. Hey, Ben Toombs.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Matt Kowalski.
Hello, Matt Kowalski.
Hello, Red Forge Tools.
Red Forge Tools, good to have you here.
Coffee's Forge, Mike G.
Coffee's Forge, Mike G. Mike G. Woo.
Paul Company says, hi guys, here for my Saturday morning breakfast viewing from Australia.
Well, glad Saturday morning breakfast is working out okay. So. Good to have you here. Enjoy some eggs and bacon on us. Well, it's not really on us, it's on you, but we give you approval.
You've got to go ahead now.
You've got our approval.
Let's see, For the Honor Forge says, I'll be taking off here in a bit. Need to make a center jig for fuller and 1/4 inch square stock. Okay.
Well, don't let us stop you. Come back. We'll probably still be here after you're done, because you're quicker than me.
Let's see, Matt says his last name is pronounced Koshki.
Koshki.
Gotcha. All right.
Cool.
Hello, Susan Ellis.
Susan Ellis. Good to have you here. Or Paige. Good to have you all. So, to address some questions, everybody was dying to know what size the hammer is. And Jessica and I was talking about this, that Olga here, since she's 465 pounds, she makes small things look smaller and big things look small. So, you know, it shrinks it pretty good. So we went ahead and brought out a scale, and we're going to weigh that real quick so everybody can see what type of weight we're working at. Now this is pre-dressed, so this is without any filing done on it or anything else, so it will lose a little additional mass whenever we not only slot punch and drift the hole, but to scale with filing and different things like that to get it cleaned up. It will lose a little bit of mass, so it will be a little lighter when it's all said and done, but we're going to give her away anyhow. So you going to go to the anvil, honey?
Yes, I will. All right, go ahead.
All right, so here's our little hammer we've been working on. I'm going to set it on our scale, and here's my, this used to be an old refrigerant scale when I was doing heating and air conditioning work long time ago. So we got it zeroed out. Let's see if we can turn on this where the camera can see it. Can the camera see those numbers?
Yep, it's on there.
Can they see the numbers?
Yep.
Okay, so here's the moment of truth. Let's see what we got. Okay, it actually ended up smaller. I was saying about 8 ounces, and it right now is sitting at just about 7 ounces. So I was an ounce off. Tomato, but pretty close. Pretty close. So that's sitting there right there at about 7 ounces. 6.9 ounces to be exact. So for all those inquiring minds that were dying to know, what size hammer this would be. We had some interesting guesses.
Answered.
Yeah, the question has been answered. So let me set this off camera real quick.
Alright. Let's see. Greetings, Pastor Josh Smith.
Greetings, greetings.
B&B Forge, good to have you.
Hello, hello. So just to recap, before we get to slot punching and drifting this hole, I need to make a smaller slot punch and I need to make a smaller drift. As I explained in the last live stream, towards the end of the live stream, again, my bad, let me grab a piece of chalk. Wrought iron, you're working with grain. It's like a wood grain structure, and so therefore you have to take and be careful of the way that you slot punch and you drift it. The way your punch is shaped and the way your drift is shaped, or the way you need to drift it, are very different from the way that you would do mild steel or the way that you would do a high carbon steel like a 1095 or a 1045 hammer or anything that you like, a new modern steel. So I'll draw it up here again on the hood, and let's see here, I don't know if people can get me in here. See if I can zoom in a little closer. See if that'll work.
Yeah,
I think that'll work.
Yep.
So right now we've got this wrought iron in here with steel faces welded on, just like so. But all of our grains are running lengthways like this with the hammer. So just like a chunk of wood, we need to be very careful that we don't cause this to split. So we don't want our drift or our punch to be shaped like a splitting wedge. If that makes sense. We don't want it to take and split in this direction, widthwise of the hammer. We want it to go lengthwise, so it needs more taper or bevel, if you will, in parallel with the hammer versus whatever that is, crossways. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of speech right now. But basically, we don't want it to split or have a splitting action because it will split open this material and leave us with something that looks more like this after we're all said and done. It'll have like a cut to the front and the back of the drifted hole. Can they see that on there?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is you're splitting it like wood. So you'll end up splitting that out. We don't want that. So the slot punch that we need to make, instead of it being like this at a taper, it actually needs to be basically almost flat in the cross-section dimension. And then in the lengthwise dimension of that, I'm trying to draw this out. This is kind of hard doing backwards and reverse.
Here's a comment on this, by the way.
Go ahead.
Red Forge Tool says, I heard if you get the wrought iron and put a twist in it, it works better.
It can, but not really. I mean, you're still dealing with grain. So if you punch through that, even with that grain twisting around like that, it's still going in one direction. So even if you cut down through a few of those fibers, it's still going to take and end up splitting on you. The difference is, instead of, and now not always, you know, this is, again, that's a generality. Sometimes it holds together, a lot of times it does not. It splits. But say if you have this twisted, and you have all these lines in here like this, right? You have all these wood fibers twisted around and around and around and around. When you're cutting down through that, it still has to pull against those. And most likely what you'll have is you'll have a crack show up at the corner. Or you'll have one show up at a weird spot, like leading from the corner forward, and it'll separate in there instead. Basically, it just doesn't like the modern way of slitting and drifting it. Plus, you know, again, you can do the twisting and everything else. I personally like wrought iron to be left straight grained, like it was forged out and manufactured, and I like getting the grain to flow. I like to work with the grain, not make the grain behave like a modern steel would. I like to make the grain work and work with the grain. This will take you further because if you do the twisting method, like I said before, that doesn't completely eliminate that crackage issue like I have explained already, although it can help. This is not entirely practical for all operations that you may do in wrought iron. So on a little short billet like this, sure, there's nothing wrong with doing something like that. But say you needed to put several punched holes in a piece that you are working with that has wrought iron, it may be very impractical to twist something. Hold on one second, let me show you.
Okay.
Let me zoom you out too. It may be very impractical to twist something like this just so you can forge it back to this shape, all while losing mass, just so you can knock 3 holes in it.
He says, okay, thanks for the advice. Your way makes more sense than twisting.
Yeah, so if you've got something this size that's not going to be practical, this, sure, it's not going to hurt anything to do that once again. But like I said, it won't necessarily be practical. With wrought iron, it could be a mean mistress. You just got to work with her. Got to let her be boss. And by the way, that is a solid chunk of wrought. That is wrought iron. This is off the bridge. Anyways, so hopefully that answers the question pretty good.
I believe it does.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make our slot punch now. Hopefully you guys can understand what I was doodling here about the cross section. You want it to be fairly thin. You don't want it to be, coming in like this, like a splitting wedge. You want it to be fairly straight up and down or parallel sides, so this way you avoid the splitting issue. Also, at the end of the slot punch, you want them to be rounded off. You want the ends to be rounded off so you sever the grain at the front end and the rear end of the slot punch itself.
Can you guys hear me now? Who said they couldn't hear me? It's the same microphone that's feeding the audio.
Yep. They probably need a lot more on you than me.
Probably.
Okay.
Mike G says, nice piece of wrought iron.
Yeah, it is. It's real nice. There's about 30 other pieces just like it, so
Okay,
that's my
better.
stash. My secret stash.
They're saying you're noisy.
Yeah, I am noisy. I am noisy. I'm a loud demonstrator. That's what I do. So, all right. Let's set this aside, set up here on the hood. Let's get to forging our slot punch. I'm using a piece of coil spring. This is a pretty common thing for me to do. It's my favorite thing to forge my punches out of. Punches, chisels, slot punches. So far, just because I have a plentiful supply of it. So the dimensions of this stock is 1/2 inch in diameter or 12.5 millimeter. And it's approximately 4 inches long or 100 mil. For those that are wondering.
By the way, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge For the Honor Forge. He gave us a $10 super chat and said, fix the issue with my card. So, good, we're glad you're able to figure out the solution to that.
Awesome.
In case anybody else has that problem, could you write what your solution was down in the comments?
Yeah.
I was curious to see what caused that.
So thank you For the Honor Forge. We greatly appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for supporting the channel. Keeping us running. Everybody give For the Honor Forge a hand clap if you haven't already. So.
Granddad's Forge says, yeah, a hunk like that would be sweet. We have old bridges around here. Watch for my name in the news. LOL.
What?
Like he's saying he goes cut off a piece off of an old bridge.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I don't think they like that too much.
I don't think
You remove a high tension bar out of a bridge somewhere.
No.
I'll watch it on the news. No problem.
I'd be very unhappy.
If if you're gonna do something crazy like that, email me and I'll just send you a small chunk if you need wrought iron that bad, if you're that hard up.
Heavy Hammer Forge says, what carbon steel do you use the most?
Carbon steel. High carbon steel?
And it just says carbon steel.
Okay, plain carbon steel or mild steel is what I use the most of. High carbon steel I use the most out of probably whatever coil spring is made out of. I've heard it's made out of 5160. Not 100% on that. Again, I couldn't tell you what the coil spring is made out of. But the stuff that I buy predominantly to make hammers is 1045 and 1095. So those are the two that I have worked with the most. For hammers, I would probably want to split the difference, maybe do a 1075 would be great to do hammers out of. Gosh. It's about to fall down the bottom.
I want it to get away.
Nope.
Nick DePerma says, what is the dimensions of the fire pot in your forge and how is the blower set up?
The dimensions of my fire pot are about 8 inches square by about 6 inches deep. And what was the last bit?
And how is the blower set up?
The blower is attached to it. So it's a Champion 400 blower. It's a hand crank blower. Blows down through the tweer into the side of the fire pot.
County Line Forge, if you want to get in touch with us, it's christcenteredforge@gmail.com. Curtis McPherson says, I make my punches out of A33. It's wild stuff.
A33. I take it that's air hardening? Haven't heard of A33.
Red Forge Tool says, I make punches from 3/4 inch rebar. It hardens in water somehow.
Huh. You might got some high tensile rebar. There is some rebar out there. Now, I have not experienced this myself, but some older gentlemen have played around with it, and one guy that's pretty much a certifiable metallurgist had said that this one type of rebar, let me pull it up real quick. I got a piece of rebar here, and says that it's really good for punches and chisels and things like that. And it's got 2 dots in it. It has like these 2 dots in between the grooves. And I can't really show you that on camera. I don't even think it'll work over at the lower anvil. But basically, in between the ribs, it's got 2 dots and then a big blank space. And then it comes along and it has another 2 dots and a big blank space, and it has another 2 little nubs, like little dots on it, all on one side. Basically, it's the equivalency of like a 1084 steel. So, but it's used in like high tensile situations, stuff that they need a lot of high tensile strength inside of the concrete. Yeah, apparently it's supposed to be pretty tough stuff. I haven't played with it. I was going to do that on a video and give that a shot one day and see how it goes. So.
Curtis McPherson says the A33 stands for Atlantic 33 non-timber steel.
Huh. Never heard of it. Sounds interesting, though. Sounds really interesting. All right. Let's get over to the anvil and let's start hammering this thing out here a little bit. We got to get on a roll here.
All right.
Or as I like to say, without further ado, let's get to smithing. All right, so basically, we are just going to take and draw this down. It's a bit of coil spring here. Draw a slight taper to it, and then keep it parallel on the sides. Now this is going to look lumpy. It's going to look a little lumpy as I go along here, just till I get it out there. But basically, we want our tapering to get Mr. Thing to happen in this direction. So wider here and narrower here, as where this direction, we want it to be parallel. Any questions?
Nothing about that so far. Heavy Hammer Forge says, Roy, you are right with the coil springs. Most of the time they are made out of 5160.
Okay, well there we go. Like I said, I couldn't tell you on my own here. They're just scrap coil spring that I've picked up from here and there in scrap yards and garage sales and roadways and flea markets and whatnots. So, couldn't tell you. As I said, I've heard that they're 5160. I imagine they could change with vehicle manufacturers, some sort of percentage of whatever, you know, to avoid patents and other garbage like that. But from the best of my knowledge, it's, you know, it's 5160. That's what everybody always tells me anyhow. Awesome to know I'm right.
Mike G says, Roy, is your shirt linen? If so, I can see why you like it. We actually ordered that shirt off of Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, without me getting naked here, I don't know what it is. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think it's like a loose fiber cotton.
It might be a light fiber cotton thing. I don't think it's linen. I wouldn't say it's a linen, but yeah, I'm digging it because, like I said, it's loose and airy, and as you're swinging a hammer, it kind of puffs like this and almost fans you a bit. And you know, so far I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So when you're making slot punches or you're making anything out of tool steel, you need each heat to bring the tool steel up to a nice even temperature, nice and slowly. You don't want to rush this and go too fast with it. That's where you make mistakes, and that's where you get cracks and other things at a later date. And we don't want any of that. So bring it up to a nice high heat, so this way it's easy to work, but do so in a way that you don't stress out the material.
John, would you let me know if it sounds better now? I did point the microphone a lot closer to me, but you guys have to let me know if you can still hear Roy clearly. If so, we'll try this arrangement. Heavy Hammer Forge says, I'm taking a blacksmith class tomorrow. Wish me luck.
Awesome.
What kind of class?
I wish you luck. Wish you luck.
Mike G says, linen is best. It doesn't stick to you like cotton does when you sweat.
Well, I'll look into it. I'll look into linen shirts. It'd be neat. All right, let's go over the anvil, Jess.
All right.
Good?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got it parallel that way, and I've got it tapering that way. And that's what we're wanting. Hopefully everybody can see that just fine.
Yes, they can.
Again, in the narrow cross section, you want it parallel. In the wider cross section, you want it tapering down to your dimension. Keep that in mind, you'll be just fine. So now that we've got that mostly where we're going to want to take it, we're going to heat it back up. But this time, we're going to flip it around now, and we are going to work on the back or the reverse taper on this end. Also, what I will do is I will take this time to square this up first. I like these to stay nice and square. The reason why is they sit nicer on the anvil. They don't have a tendency to roll off one way or the other, and you have to go chasing them. So I like to square up my tools, and that's what we'll be doing this time around. Questions?
Yes, Manga12 says, do you ever use a flatter very much, Roy?
Occasionally, Manga. let me take 1 second on that. Give me a second.
He said, or if you do, is it more of a guillotine smith magician thing?
No, I use a flatter occasionally. I don't do it a lot because usually a flatter requires a striker, depending on the size of the flatter and whatnot. I do have a couple little one-hander flatters, I call them, where, you know, it's easy enough for me to put it there and hammer on. But if it's a lot of work to be done with a flatter, I'll just do it under the press and use the top tools that way to kind of give it a little squish or whatever. Most of my flatters are just made for having people around to help me with it. The occasional time I'll use something I use more than a flatter is a set hammer. Basically just a square hammer to put in a corner or something while I'm locked up in the vise, and use that to hammer on to set down a specific shoulder. That's probably the most used tool that's extracurricular outside of my hammers and tongs and whatnot.
Technomatic says that he's making a flatter at the moment.
You're making a flatter right now, Roy, eh?
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. What kind? That'd be better. Hold on with that.
Herb Page says, this is better than getting things in order for work tomorrow. It's the opening day for a historical site I work at. Let's see. Will I see there, Roy? It's only 20 or an hour or so drive for you to New Brunswick, Canada, LOL. I think it's a little further than 20 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be about right. 20 hours.
You probably won't see me there, unfortunately. I'd love to go up to Canada at some time, but I'm pretty sure they won't let me across the border right now, as I don't have, you know, a Canadian season pass. Right? That's what they call them?
Yeah.
Season passes to another country?
Yeah.
Kind of like season passes to Six Flags?
Yeah, your passport.
Oh, it's a passport.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, your golden ticket to Canada.
Willy Wonka says, no chocolate for me. In Canada, at least.
Granddad's Forge says, I'm waiting for the Roy Adams fall collection to come out. That I'm a blacksmith, not a pirate. Sure.
Yeah, I'm looking awful argumentative today. So, actually, this is kind of something I've been doing all the time in the shop. You may see me on a lot of my videos, especially the upcoming ones. You'll just see my shirt, bottom of the shirt, and apron, because I'm mainly focused at the work at the anvil versus on this whole pretty mug. But most of the videos, I am wearing this rag on my head during the summer. It just keeps me cooler. I can throw and splash water on it, keep it nice and saturated, and then have a fan blow at me. It helps me endure the hot summer heat.
Manga 12, di passaporto, as they say in Italian pronunciation.
The passaporto.
Yep.
Well, there you have it. So, all right, let's go over the anvil.
All right.
You there?
Yep, we're there.
Okay, so now I'm going to take this down, and I guess instead of doing a complete square, I'm going to just do more of a rectangle on this one. It's kind of fun to switch it up a little bit. You don't always have to make all your tools exactly the same look. It's not important. Just want to get these sides nice and parallel. There you go. Make sure I don't have any bends in it. Good to go. Drop it at least once. That's how you know you're doing something.
Get a little burnt rubber on there.
Nope. But see, now look, this won't... You lay that down, it's not going nowhere.
Oh, no.
You lay that down, it's not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so now I just basically paralleled up the sides of that. It'll still have a nice comfortable grip in the hand. Now we need to take and go ahead and drill down the reverse taper here in the next heat.
Heavy Hammer Forge asks if you have favorite tongs.
Not really. Right now, my current most used tongs in my shop are these little wolf jaw tongs that I've made. I've got some videos on that on the channel, forging some wolf jaw tongs, but These are kind of my favorite right now as far as most used, I would say. I wouldn't say most favorite, but they're the most used in my shop currently, just because, I mean, I can find 1,000,001 uses to pick them up, basically, on just about everything I'm working on these days. So they work pretty darn good, and I would highly suggest, if you're a beginner, to make these as your first set of tongs if you can only make one pair of tongs, or if you can only buy one set of tongs, I would suggest something of a wolf jaw-like tong. They are pretty darn handy.
Sleepless in New York asks, do you snack while forging, and if so, what's your favorite treat between heats?
I don't usually snack between forging. In the winter months, I'll have basically, I can't tell, it's about 50-50 mix of coffee and hot cocoa. So it's part hot cocoa, part coffee. It's like a mocha or something like that. I don't know.
One of the coffee connoisseurs out there probably know, one of the coffee connoisseurs out there probably
yeah,
knows
one
the
of you
exact
coffee
name for
connoisseurs
it.
know what that is. So I mainly drink between heats. Not alcohol, but water or juice or some sort of electrolyte type producing thing between heats. I usually don't eat between heats. Now, when I was in the trade of heating and air conditioning, it was not uncommon to find me with a sandwich stuffed in my face 90% of the time. I always had a sandwich on hand, and I was always eating. Oh. But not anymore. And I'm also about 60 pounds lighter than I was, too. So
yeah, everything just gets this fine grit out here. I'm not sure. Like, if you had like a bowl of almonds or something, you know, I just wouldn't trust it.
yeah,
Wouldn't be safe.
wouldn't be quite as tasty as one might surmise.
KJ Owen says, sorry I'm late, I was in the shower, LOL. And Ben Tube says, that's no excuse, KJ, LOL.
Thank you for the hot and steamy update.
I'd be concerned if you took your phone in the shower with you.
Yeah,
Might ruin
just
it.
keep that to yourself if you do. Alright, let's go to the anvil. Let's put the reverse taper on this punch
Alright.
now. You good?
Yep, we're there.
We're just going to keep it parallel in the one direction, and again, tapered in the other. That's going to just help center up our hammer blows when you go to hammering on this. That's going to look nice. Gonna look nice there, fellas. Ladies and gents. At least I think it will. Might come out looking hideous. There you have it. So now that thing will lay flat like that. It'll be all centered up. So I got one other little heat to do because there's a slight bend right here. So I'm going to go ahead and heat it up and take out this little bit of a bend there. Not going to be much. And then we'll set this off to the side and start working on our drift.
Heavy Hammer Forge says, Roy, do you think a diamond cutoff wheel for my angle grinder is a good investment?
I think it's an awesome investment. There's a lot of things that are gimmicks out there that, you know, sounds great at first, and then you buy it and it's just kind of like it's marginally better. In my opinion, the diamond cutoff wheel is the best cutoff wheel to ever happen to an angle grinder ever in my lifetime so far. Basically, I can run through thousands of cuts without having to replace blades, without getting the big plume of dust that you get off of the abrasives that just clings to everything, gets all up in your lungs if you're not wearing a respirator. It just kind of sticks to your skin and things like that. I can't stand that stuff. I do not have that problem with the diamond cutoff wheels. The only problem I can say about a diamond cutoff wheel is that it leaves a pretty nasty rag that you do have to trim and clean off. But all cutoff wheels leave a rag. So it leaves an extra millimeter or two of rag. Just grind it off. You're grinding it anyhow. An extra millimeter or two doesn't really matter. That's my only gripe with them is they, like I said, they leave a really heavy rag on. They do have a tendency to heat the piece more than like an abrasive cutoff wheel will, but again, so will an abrasive wheel. You're not going to touch it with your bare hands anyhow. So I would highly suggest one of those. They are expensive, but with as many abrasives as I'm used to going through on just a project, I mean, I got used to buying a pack of 50 5-inch cutoff wheels for anytime I had a fabrication job of any sort come in that I needed to fabricate a trailer frame or something like that. And you just bzzz, and it just goes to dust, you know, and it's about useless couple cuts in. Now, if I had a big chop saw, I probably wouldn't use the wheels on the angle grinder as much, but I use the angle grinders more than I do. I don't have a chop saw, so I just use the angle grinders instead to do all my cutting. And so for that, like I said, I'll go through a package of 50 of them little small cutoff wheels that you get. So I highly suggest the Diamond abrasives. I actually did a review on one. It was for the 9-incher, I think it was, or 7.5 inch, yes, for my big 9-inch angle grinder that I have. Yep. But right now, currently, basically I bent that one on accident. It was laying on the shop floor. I didn't see it, and I stepped on it. I ended up bending it and it had a speed wobble it, so I couldn't use it anymore. That's the only reason why I chucked my last one. But now I've got one on my little 5-inch Bosch angle grinder, and then I keep this loaded up with a regular grinding wheel, and that works out perfect.
Granddad's Forge says, I must have gotten a bad Diamond Diablo brand wheel. It had no diamonds on it by the 6th cut. Maybe try again?
Yeah, that's a bad wheel. I don't trust much. I don't hold much with Diablo brand abrasives. I've used them. I'm not impressed. I've got flat discs made by them, or not flat discs, but like regular sanding discs that I do with my copper work. And by the time I get to the rear of the bowl, the abrasive's all gone. It's an aluminum oxide wheel. It ought to be able to handle copper, no problem whatsoever, and the abrasive's gone. Yeah, I can't recommend Diablo. The ones that I use are the Linux. I believe that's what they are.
I believe so.
Yeah, the Linux Metal Max. Check those out. I've had nothing but good times with that. So.
Yeah. Jonathan says, hey Roy, going for the biker look? LOL. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, buddy. Nope. Going for the pirate look. Arg.
You need like a little parrot, you know, just sew it onto your shirt.
That's what I need, yeah. Let's go to the animal, Jess.
Alright.
Get this cleaned up here. Okay, good. I think I got this all lined up. It's important to get it lined up if you can. Get everything right in line and tuned up. It'll help everything cut a lot better, drift a lot better, punch a lot better, the whole 9 yards. Everything squared up, good to go. Okay. We'll give this thing one more little heat here and then set it off to the side of the fire so it can cool. Oh, and just so no one ever decides to take this thing, let me put my touch mark in it.
Didn't want to leave it unmarked.
Nope, I've been trying to get in the habit of doing this for all my tools. Put a touch mark in them. Alright, so that's the slot punch forged. So you guys see how it looks? Hopefully that's coming up on camera good.
Yep, that's good.
All in focus. Good to go. So we'll get another little nice even heat on this and we'll set it off to the side of the fire. And let it cool naturally.
Alrighty.
Alright, questions?
Yeah, Ben Toombs, he says, Lennox Gold Sawzall blades are the bomb. My dad got me a ceramic wheel from the aviation place he works at, and that thing was unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably commercial grade.
Oh yeah. Yep, you know, you gotta try new things. You never know what you might find that you like.
Manga 12 says, a cafe mocha is a variant of a cafe latte. Like a latte, it is typically 1/3 espresso and 2/3 steamed milk, but a portion of chocolate is added.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
We've got a coffee connoisseur in the house.
Yeah.
Good.
Let's see, Red Forge Tools, I don't know if you're here or not, but good night. He said it's 12:30 in Ireland, so he'll catch us next video.
Okay, Red Forge Tools, thank you for being around, buddy. Have a good night. Sleep well.
Herb Page says, Roy, you need a pair of 1860s style drop front trousers to complete your outfit, LOL.
My problem with that is my trousers might drop in the front on a live stream someday, just by accident. I don't want to do that.
I'm normally wearing an apron.
Yeah.
Mike G says, Roy, like always, you're a dork, but love you for it.
I'm glad you love me for it. Dork and all. Dork and all.
Frank Stock says, the 20-hour trip to Canada makes the 5-hour trip to SOFA a hop, skip, and a jump.
Oh, heck yeah. Still wouldn't mind going to Canada, though. Alright, so we've got this nice and hot. Now we're just going to set it off to the side of the fire to cool. This doesn't have to be done in any sort of way. I just set it and kind of tuck it in the ashes a little bit. It doesn't have to be submersed or anything. The ideal of it is just to get it out of the way and let it cool down kind of naturally or slower than normal. And then we'll have to grind it. I'll just take it over the belt grinder and kind of give it a couple of real quick grinds. I don't have to show all that, but I'll just put a little grind on it and round that in slightly, and then we'll be ready for heat treatment. But while we'll wait, we're going to go ahead and get this drift made. And how are we doing on time, Jess?
We are 42 minutes in.
Woo, doggy! I'm doing great.
Yeah, you are.
See, I'm stalling. I'm stalling tonight.
Is that what it is?
Because if I would have had this made already today, which I didn't have the time for, but if I would have had this, yeah, see, I'm still stalling. If I would have had this already made, we would have been done in 10 minutes, flat. It would have took no time at all to go punch, punch, like almost one heat. You would probably see it in just one heat. It'll be punched and slot punched, and then the next heat probably be drifted. So that's kind of boring, anticlimactic. You came here for nothing then. So I figured this is a neat way, and this is where I'll segue into this if no one has any pressing questions just yet. So oftentimes, like all the time, I get asked how long something takes. And this is a hard thing to determine. And the reason why is because, so like with this little hammer, if I was commissioned to make this little hammer for somebody, I have to make these tools in order to make a tool for somebody. I have to make the tools in order to make a tool, if that makes sense. So it's very difficult to ascertain a specific time that was spent on a job, because the tool itself is what somebody's saying I am a tool.
No.
Is that
Sorry.
She's laughing.
I did. Granddad's Forge says, did monetize for showing the buried treasure. Wear regular pants, please. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
Sorry, that made me giggle.
Show them the buried treasure. Hey, I tell you what. I'll keep my pants on and keep regular pants on if I see a lot of super chat donations. $100 and up, guys. $100 and up.
Oh man.
Yeah, that won't happen. I know, but a guy can hope. A guy can hope.
Continue on with your
Anyways, along with my little rant here about tools. So this is a good example, especially if you are just beginning as a smith, maybe been at it a while, you know, and you've always struggled with the concept of tooling. Take the time to make the tool, and here's why. It may not be costed to the job specifically at hand, But when I'm done with this little slot punch, now I can make slews of other little small hammers, whatever tickles my fancy, that will require that specific slot punched hole. I can use that slot punch on other things besides hammers. Bar stock for ornamental work, and when I need slit and drifted holes and things like that. So there's a lot of applications now that I can use that slot punch. Same thing with this drift. There's times where you'll need oval shaped holes punched through things or drifted a certain way. Guess what? Now you have a drift that will work on that. Yeah, you meant it for hammers or making hammers with, but you can use it for other things in the shop. So although this job of doing this demonstration for you on YouTube requires me to make another tool in order to make that tool, that is actually a good thing. It pushes me to then have to think about the type of tool, think about the process I'm going to use to create that, and the result or the finished product that's going to come out as a result of me making that tool. So it's a very good thing. It's a good, healthy forging exercise. If you need a tool, make the tool. Don't make excuses for it. If you need a tool of a specific size, shape, dimension, make the tool. It'll make your life easier. Rant over.
All right.
You were smiling over there. You were making more crack-up jokes in the comment section.
A little bit. Mr. Jake Barney says that he got here somehow from a rap video, and he says, Roy, give us a little rap.
No thanks.
Roy's not quite the musical type.
I'm not the musical type. And if I was, rap's not really kind of my music. So I listen to it from occasion, but the old stuff, what we would call like the oldies now, the older stuff, early 90s.
Let's see, Coffee's Forged, get a kilt, Roy.
Yeah, everybody wants that, but I got chicken legs, man. I'm just not into having kilts. I don't know, I don't think I can pull off the whole man skirt thing. Can't do that, I don't think. So, I don't know. Don't count it out. Willing to try it once.
Pastor Josh Smith says, Arg, are you going to forge a peg leg for your next outfit?
Actually, a hook.
There you go.
That would actually be a cool project.
That would be, huh?
Call me Captain.
KJ Owen says, you sound like Chandler. With the make a tool, need a tool, make a tool.
Yep.
Jake
Chandler likes to say that a lot. Chandler's a smart man when it comes to that. He's learned that, and that will take him far in a craft. You need that tool, you make the tool, you always have the tool for later on and for other purposes, and it just makes you more productive and efficient in the long run.
Let's see, Jake Barney says, what's the coolest thing you've made?
I get this question all the time. Okay, so up to date. Basically, I think the coolest thing that I have ever made was Moses' burning bush. It's a little small bush that actually burns. It catches fire, but doesn't get consumed. I think that's probably the coolest thing I ever made. As far as on my own personal scale, probably my thing that I've liked the most that I've ever made was the time I spent 2 weeks with Tom Latané in Pepin, Wisconsin. We forged a 15th century replica kind of lock together. I've got that. I've got a video on that somewhere. I think I did. Yeah, I think I've released a video about that lock. It's on the channel already.
Yes, it is.
That was one of my favorite pieces there. But here recently, this is a perfect segue into it. For those of you that are not on Instagram and follow me over there, or for those of you that don't look at the community posts, if you don't have the notification bell, you don't see those. I'll bring it down here in the anvil, honey.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I just recently finished forging and finishing a client's hammer, custom hammer. I don't know if everybody can see that just fine.
Yep, let me zoom in a little extra.
So this is a piece of 1095 high carbon tool steel. hickory handle. It's kind of like a factory-made hickory handle. I did flatten the sides on it, so it has a nicer feel to it in this direction. With chased panels that have texture or has forged texture in it on the chased panels. And then, of course, polished faces.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see the light reflect off of it.
Yeah, so that's one of the nicest hammers I think I've ever made so far.
Brian Neely says, too pretty to use.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty exciting. To answer some questions on it, I kind of got some questions on it. Now, I love my shop hammer. I do love my shop hammer, but this one takes the win in the pretty contest for pretty hammers. So to answer some questions I got on it, somebody asked, why did I temper it to a purple in color? And the reason why is this 1095 hardened in water is really super hard. It is really super hard when it's that. So hard, in fact, that my chasing tools can't even touch it, even at a purple in color. So when it's down purple in color, my chasing tools still can't even touch it. It's so hard. So that's why I went to purple in it, and it came out, I think, absolutely swell. I know this right here, this hammer here is harder than Olga is.
Oh yeah.
It has a higher Rockwell than what Olga does. Because it will dent Olga. So.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know.
KJ Owen says, should be in a museum.
I appreciate that. So, yeah, one of the other things, after I got done tempering the hammer, I had realized my blunder. I tempered the handle, I did all the final cleanup work on it, and I realized I forgot my touch mark in it.
No.
And so I thought to myself, my stuff's pretty hard, I guess I'll go ahead and try to hammer that in. It didn't do it. It flattened one of my older touch marks. I decided I'd try it with my old touch mark first, impression art.
Yeah.
It flattened it. It didn't even scathe the surface.
Wow.
So, pretty hard stuff. But yeah, that's what it is. It should belong in someone's hands. As far as I know, he's going to use it. It's 2.5 pounds in total weight. If you're going to have to be forced to make a rounding hammer, you might as well make them look nice.
Spencer, yes, his anvil's name is Olga.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap that thing up like a baby so it can make it to the customer in one piece. Alright, so over there.
Manga 12, oh, that's harder than the anvil. Yep.
Yep.
Heavy Hammer Forge. Go enjoy your dinner there.
Yep. Come on back. I'm sure we'll still be here. We'll forge out this drift real quick.
See, you guys have really been commenting. I'm like quite a bit behind here. See, I know there's a little bit of a conversation going on about judo. Somebody, I think he might be new in the Trey M. He was asking if anybody did judo.
Okay, cool. I practiced it a little bit long time ago when I was a kid. Long time ago.
Jake Varney says, I might sound stupid or something, but I don't know anything about this stuff, but what is Damascus steel?
That's a long-winded answer coming there. Basically, to sum it all up, Damascus steel is basically pattern welded steel. That is the modern incantation of Damascus steel. It's pattern welded steel. It's a higher carbon and a lower carbon steel welded together, blended together, with a little bit of chromium in one of them. Usually.
Matthew Thorne says, when you aren't working on a commission, what do you make for fun?
It's
been a while. You're really having to think back a ways, huh?
No, it doesn't. No, my mind went a completely different direction there for a second. What do I do for fun, or make for fun? I don't really make a whole lot for fun. I mainly do my stuff for my commissions, and I have fun doing that. Not every day is a cupcake or roses, but I enjoy the process none the same. I kind of enjoy the process more than a project. So like right now, even though I'm sweating, I'm demonstrating, I am having a ball just sitting here forging at the coal forge, because a lot of my work is in finish work for customers and clients. So like the forging work for that took about 1/3 of the time that the finish work on that hammer did that I just made. And so a lot of my work has become finishing and polishing and filing and chasing and engraving and doing stuff like that, and coloring and tempering and patinaing and things of that nature. So all like a lot of finish work. And so I really enjoy just being able to scoop the fire around and pull out the piece of metal and form and shape the material. That's my thing I do for fun. So like these Friday Night Live forging live streams, that's what I'm doing for fun during my week, so to speak. Most of the time, it's about the client and getting their job done and out the door. You know, when I first thought about doing this as a profession, I thought, oh, won't it be great? I'll just be able to forge every day, and I'll just be able to just decide to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and it doesn't work that way. You get into it and you realize that there's this little thing called an electric bill in rent that you still need to pay, and so therefore you have to take on jobs that are labor intensive, work long hours, stuff like that, just like as if you had a day job that you work for a company. This is just as real as a day job working for a company. You have to set hours, you have to work, have certain productive days, you can have certain loafing days, like your weekends. But yeah, basically that's what I do. I do the YouTube kind of thing for fun. I get to do that mostly for fun because I'm making the things that I think somebody would enjoy seeing me make, and something that somebody will find value out of, and so I do those. Do that like that.
Speaking of that, what the forge says, I'd like to thank Roy for the BIC tutorial. I just followed it and now I have a BIC of my own, super easy to follow.
Hey, glad you liked it. Cool, cool, cool. You're very welcome.
KJ Owen says, I'm glad you never gave in to the rounding hammer trend.
No. It is not my favorite hammer. It has its places. It can be good, but it's not the one-all beat-all hammer. So, I had a guy tell me in one of the comment sections once with my thing about why I don't use rounding hammers, and he had told me, he said, well, when you actually get some skill under your belt and some years of practice, you'll understand why all the masters use rounding hammers. And I can think on my top of my head 3 people who decidedly do not use rounding hammers that are masters here in America, and they won't touch them. They don't touch rounding hammers. It's not an important tool in their shop or their day-to-day life. So that's one of those things that kind of get into the whole fad trend, as like the Hoffy hammer did. I haven't really used a Hoffy hammer. I tried it once. I thought the handle was way too short for my liking. Again, you have to adopt a whole style of smithing when you use the Hoffy method with the Hoffy hammer, so that's good. Same thing with the Brian Brazil rounding hammer. Those were originally Farrier's turning hammers or clipping hammers. It's what they're originally called. But you know, he kind of popularized the insanely huge hammers that we know as rounding hammers today. No, I just never got into them as a whole. So a lot of my work requires accuracy, and I don't feel something that is round in shape and heavy and unwieldy in the hand, and this is just my experience with them, speaking from my own experience, produces the type of results that I'm accustomed to in my shop. So, not that they're bad, people like them. Like I said, that's a beautiful rounding hammer. I forged one. You know, I think they can be beautiful. I think they can be graceful. I think the shapes that you can produce on a rounding hammer can be very great for different operations and different stuff in the forge, different radiuses and stuff. I think that's great. but I am not a big fan of a one-all beat-all tool. I've said that 1.5 million times. One-all beat-all tools don't exist. They just don't. If you do that, you're limiting yourself to just one way of thinking, and there's a big wide world out there of learning for you to still do. So, you know, there's better, this tool's better than that tool. Probably not. There's just a right tool for the job, a wrong tool for another job, a right tool for that job, a wrong tool for that job, so on and so forth. A quicker tool or a more efficient tool, yada, yada, yada. So, tools are meant to get the job done.
Got Milk 1061 mentioned this question earlier and brought it back up again. Why every time I work with wrought iron, it seems like the material does not want to forge. It would rather break apart than move.
You are forging it too cold, most likely. Some wrought iron is specifically a fairly low grade of wrought iron to where it's suffering from delamination in between the grains. If you're getting some of that, and that was kind of some of the wrought iron that was produced later on before we went to what we know as our mild steels now. They did kind of get cheaper and cheaper on the wrought iron. You would think they would get better and better and better, but it actually got worse and worse and worse as it went on. But, you know, that's like the later 1900s, like when it was just a few mom and pop shops still keeping it going and they died out. If you've got some really low quality iron, you have to forge it at a really high heat. And I mean bright lemon yellow to almost white heat when you're doing heavy cross-sectional change to that wrought iron at any point. Oh, if you drop down below like a yellow heat with wrought iron, it has a tendency to want to split on you. So work it very hot.
Got Milk 1061 says, I got it as hot as my forge will get it. Do you think I need a better forge?
What color temperature was it? You may need a better forge if it wasn't hot enough. If it wasn't hot enough, you may have to get a forge that brings it up a lot hotter. If you're doing it in a gas forge, you have to run your gas forge pegged out just about with wrought iron. You've got to get it hot, and I do mean hot. Where you would be at welding heat with mild steel, well at welding heat at mild steel, you're going to be at the lower end of the forge welding range, the lower end of the forging range on wrought iron, generally speaking.
Did you say your piece is hot?
Yep, the piece is hot. Let's go to the anvil and get this
All right.
snap.
Let's go ahead.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is a piece of 5/8 inch square material. This can be round. It doesn't matter. I just had square lying around. We just want to work that down to where it's going to look like it's going to fit in the hole. Now we don't want this to be rectangular. We want to make sure that this is round. So we're going to make sure it's square first. Then we're going to octagon and then go to round on it. And as you can see, I'm tapering in both directions right now. And the reason why is I need this to be able to round up. And once it's round, then I'll forge it into the oval shape that we need for the drift. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does. Let's see, Got Milk 1061 says yes, it's gas.
It's gas, okay. Most likely the gas forge is just not getting it hot enough to be forging. You may try it again with a fresh tank of propane. I don't know your setup. A lot of guys have 20-pound cylinders that they try to forge out of. And those are great for like the first 20 minutes, but they slowly, progressively lose pressure as the tank freezes up. So if you can switch to a 40-pound cylinder or try to get your forging done with it in the first 20 minutes of a new cylinder, that might help. You don't have to change necessarily the forge. My suggestion is go to a 40-pound cylinder, let the forge run for a good 10-20 minutes to get up to a high temp first, then put your wrought iron in there and have another go of it. I think you might have better results.
James from County Line Forge earlier said, a little earlier in the stream, he said he wasn't feeling up to forging, and then just now he said, "Thank you, Roy. Watching the live stream has made me want to light her up and swing the hammer."
Well, good, James at County Line Forge. So, also, for those of you who don't know James at County Line Forge, real cool dude. I think he's having his live streams, what, Saturday mornings?
10 a.m. I think.
Yeah, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Went over there and checked out one of his live streams there for a while on Saturday.
Yeah, it was Dog Hammer.
He was doing a collaboration with Big Dog Forge, Tim over at Big Dog Forge, doing a piece of Damascus, making a Damascus dog head hammer. And that's one that I haven't used extensively, so I couldn't tell you anything about a dog face or dog head hammer on those. But he looked like he was doing a really stellar job of it, working all by his little lonesome, and that was a big billet of steel. So he reminds me a lot of where I was 6-7 years ago when I was in that little small shop in the back end of my house. Just doing it all by hand, man, and he's working away in heavy heat. So definitely go check him out and check out his live stream on Saturday. It's James at County Line Forge. And he's been selling tooling. It's raining here, getting a little louder. He's been selling tooling to benefit his dad, I believe it is, it's his father, with cancer. That they can help him with his medical bills and things like that. So, you know, if you want to go check him out and see what that's all about, maybe you might want to consider buying some of his stuff and help his dad out there. So.
By the way, when we reach a good juncture, Roy, I do have the super chats written down if you want to do that in a bit.
Yeah, let me go ahead and round this up. Take this heat, okay?
All right.
Bringing it out. Good?
Yeah.
Okay, go to the anvil. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and forge this to octagon, or roughly so. Forge off all 4 corners here. Try to take it mostly to octagon first. And then we're going to knock those corners off here in a second. We're going to knock those corners off a little bit. So make it 16-sided, so whatever that is. When you're working larger stock like this, you have to make that extra facet to transition it down to rounds easier. Alright, that all shaped up. So there we go, we've got a rough form there. Next heat, we'll go ahead and round that up. Good? Alright, let's do the super chats real quick.
Alrighty. Here is the list.
Okay, so every live stream, every Friday night live stream, we like to acknowledge those that have been supporting the channel with super chats and supporting these streams and bringing these to you on a regular basis. They do that through the super chat icon, which is the little $ right by the question box or your comment box there. You can type that and then go where it shows a little $ line, and you can tap that on the super chat info, and that'll allow you to ask a question, and it highlights that question based upon the dollar amount for a specific amount of time, and allows us to answer the question more quickly. Generally, people use that just to take and help support the channel and what we're doing here. We're trying to bring blacksmithing education on YouTube. So here's some of our super chat people. Make sure you give them all a hand clap in the comment section, as we do appreciate you. Is D. Thomas, Billy Strong, Graham Pepper, which sadly is not here. He's at a men's retreat, as he said on our Monday evening business live stream. Energy Management, or Darren, awesome dude, awesome dude. He's sent us all sorts of goodies and things and in kind, and he was also the recipient of a dinner bell for his $100 super chat he had sent us. Paul Ellis, I almost read his name again, silly op there.
Yeah.
Anyways, Paul Ellis, Average American, Ben Culp, Angeli Adams, my mom, Techgranmatic, Tim over at Big Dog Forge, and I'm a blacksmith, not a pirate.
Oh, that was a short idea. That wasn't somebody's username. Sorry.
That wasn't somebody's username. Okay, well, he didn't support anything. I'm a blacksmith, not a pirate.
It's a T-shirt idea.
So, once again, give them all a round of applause. Thank them for supporting the stream and allowing us to do this sort of thing. We do greatly appreciate it. That is no small measure. That's somebody taking their hard-earned cash and spending it on us. Well, I just can't say enough about that. That's, again, humbled and thankful. Humbled and thankful. We enjoy that. We have this heart to want to teach and put out good quality information that'll help both beginners and intermediates and advanced level smiths and even smiths that are what you would consider master or really advanced level smiths start businesses, or beginners start businesses in blacksmithing, and we love doing that sort of thing. And all the support we get with the super chat donations, all the support we get through the people who are buying the power hammer plans and the blacksmith cheat sheet. Jessica will segue over into that here in just a minute and show you guys that. Give me a break so I can get some water here and put some more water on my head. Those type of things allow this to be a possibility because, believe it or not, it takes a lot of time to set up a stream like this. This is not our full-time job, so we throw this in on top, although it is becoming a very big portion of what we do, as I am trying to transition slowly into doing blacksmithing mentorship and teaching and instructing more so than doing the products and stuff that we do on a regular basis. So I'll still be doing artwork stuff, still be doing a lot of that, just pursuing different stuff. So you guys allow that to happen. And once again, thank you. We do appreciate you, each and every last one of you, for spending your hard-earned money. It is respected. It is respected here. So.
Definitely. I got one more to add to the list here. Your cousin says, just donated $5 to your channel, Roy, on PayPal. Love you, buddy. Figured you have always supported me. Now it's my turn to support you back.
Hey, Jonathan. I appreciate it, pal. Thank you, cuz. Appreciate that. It goes a long way, buddy. Goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. All right. You said, Coffee's Forge. Thank you for the $10 super chat.
Coffee's Forge. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. We appreciate your hard-earned American dollars there, my friend.
Let's see, yes. Yeah, thank you.
And make sure everybody give them hand claps, too. Everybody give them claps for supporting my cousin Jonathan. Make sure you give him a hand clap. Make sure you give Coffee's Forge a hand clap as well. Thank you all, thank you all. All right, let's bring this out while they do that, and we're going to round this up, eh?
All right, sounds good.
Okay. So when I'm rounding stuff up, I like to start at the thicker end and then slowly work down to the thinner. I find that it just helps kind of keep that taper established, and you're not getting any cut-ins from the hammer, from the heel of the hammer hitting. The smoother you get this, the smoother your oval's going to look. Now that we're past the scaling heat, I can brush it a little bit and continue to hit it and smooth that up. By the way, this is just 5/8 inch square mild steel, or 16 mil square mild steel that I forged here. These drifts, since they're engaging stuff that's already been punched and stuff, they do not need to be made out of high carbon tool steel. You can get by with mild steel. So there we go. Nice and clean. It could get smoother, but I want to tap on it for the next 20 minutes. I want to get it to an oval. Everybody see that fine?
Mm-hmm.
We want it nice, round, and smooth like that. Everybody can see that fine?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Sure can.
Okay, good.
My CPU's making me just a little nervous. It's running up high. I'm trying to see if there's anything going on there that shouldn't be, but
Okay.
haven't been able to nail it down just yet. So.
Okay. Is everybody still getting the stream okay?
I think we're okay. I'm still seeing a feed and it's showing green.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a few more super chats. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you.
We have County Line Ford. She says, thank you for the shout out, Roy and Jess. You guys are amazing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Darren gave us a $10 super chat. Thank you, Darren, at Energy Management.
Darren, you're awesome, brother. Thank you so much again for supporting the channel.
To Thomas, $10 super chat. I appreciate your time and all your efforts.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for your effort and your time watching me.
County Line 4, she says, wow, I'm 4 away from 1,000 subs now. Thank you guys.
Woohoo! Awesome!
You'll hit it by midnight, I bet.
Yep.
So, way to
hey,
go.
if you guys like what he's doing over there, make sure you go over there and sub to his channel. It's okay to take a break while I'm heating this up. To go over there and sub to him. That is awesome. You're welcome, County Line Forge.
And Darren, thank you for another $10 super chat.
Yes, Darren. Man, you guys are very generous. So very generous this evening. Thank you very much.
Let's see, Paul Ellis says, you had a little bit of a lag. Pastor Josh Smith says, we're just loitering.
You're just loitering?
Yeah,
okay.
Just loitering.
Okay, hopefully you guys are still there and getting the feed. Looks like the CPU is running up for some unbeknownst reason. Again, so if we drop the feed, the thing is, it takes us about 10 minutes or so to get the feed back online. Just check back and come back to the feed if you lose us. Just exit out of the one, wait about 10 minutes and come back to the channel, and we should be back up and running.
Yep. Yeah. Last week we went for another hour and a half after it dropped.
Yeah, it dropped out, and then we ended up going for another hour and a half afterwards. So yeah, do that definitely.
Rishi Sund, I believe you're from Canada, and you had asked if Roy was teaching any classes in your area. And
yeah.
I'm just bringing this up out loud, you know, because I'm sure we've had a little bit of other questions like this. But if anybody wants to have Roy teach a class in their area, you can always get with like your local blacksmithing club
Yep.
and tell them that you have some interest, and they can contact us and see about setting up something like that.
Yeah. Send them by the YouTube channel. Show them our videos. See if I'm a good fit for your club or your venue. I will travel. I'm not afraid of traveling and going to some places and teaching, as that's something that I hope to do in the long run, is to be an instructor full time. So let you all in on my little secret there. Full disclosure. I don't just do YouTube for the fun of it. I do plan on making this a career at some point. Not the YouTube, but the teaching portion. So, there again. Said, that's a great way of doing it. Just get with your local blacksmithing organization there and see if they want to take and have this fella, pirate and all, show up there. Yeah. All right, we good?
Yep, I believe we're good.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and flatten this drift off to an oval-like shape. And that'll conclude the drift, except for the fact that we'll cut it off and then draw a slight reverse taper on the back, again, to center it up a lot like a punch. Basically, it's just going to become a hammer drift. And all we're going to do is we're going to forge out that square bit. We're just going to forge that out a little bit. And that will make a nice little handheld thing that you can hold, and it will center up the hammer blows to the center of the drift. Meanwhile, we're going to set this off now, let it cool over here on a piece of steel, hopefully draw the rest of the heat out of it, so this way I can put the little grind when you do the hardening and tempering. This is going to be really anticlimactic. When we go to actually punch, punch and drift this little hammer, it's going to be like bam, bam, boom, and then it'll be like, okay, well, get out of here. The live stream's over, so it's a coming.
Cool.
All right. Let's go over the anvil.
All right.
You can shout people's questions while I forge if you want.
Sure. It's just everybody's kind of who has some sort of YouTube channel just talking about their subscriber numbers a little bit. And Spencer Coote said he's 1,000 away from 1,000 subscribers.
That's funny.
And then somebody followed that up with, nope, not anymore. So they went over and subscribed to him. So now it just says 999.
Now you only have 999 more to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, it really is amazing how much you can get done with just a cell phone nowadays. Roy, he did about 500 videos on his LG V20, and I mean, yeah, you can get away with it. There's stuff like handheld gimbals that does make it a lot smoother when you're filming stuff. It kind of stabilizes the shot. We picked up one of those last year, and they make them for cell phones called Zhiyun cranes, and they're about $125, but they hold the phone real nice and stable. We showed that to Twan at Warp Legacy. He met up with us at Quad State last year, and he really got a kick out of that thing, because it's what I was using to film Quad State last year with.
Yep. So what I'm using here is a rawhide mallet to get these straightened up, because I got a nice round here that I want for my hole on my punched hole on my hammer. So when I drift out the hammer eye, I want that to stay nice and round. So I'm using this to straighten it up so I don't add hammer facets. I don't want to add hammer facets there or flatten out that radius. I'm just doing that. Got that straightened up. Now we're going to flip it around and we'll forge out the rear end of this piece of mild steel. And that'll conclude our drift. So you can see how easy it is to make drifts like this. It doesn't take long. If you have high carbon steel, you can, if you know what shape you're going for and you're confident you can get there, you can use a high carbon tool steel for it. It's not needed, however. You can make this really quick in the shop. And if I wasn't demonstrating and talking and yada yada yada, I would have had this forged a long time ago.
Very long time ago, huh?
A very long time ago.
County Line Forge says, I'd like to meet you guys at Quad State, Roy and Jessica. It would be great. Definitely.
Yes, definitely. So this year at Quad State, I have decided I have worked the last 5 Quad States. I've worked 5 years in a row doing something of some capacity at Quad State. I was the club's editor-in-chief. I am no longer that for the newsletter there. And so therefore I was kind of my job to go around and get pictures and write articles about the different stuff that was happening there at Quad State and kind of manage that whole affair. And then I have managed other arenas and rings and different type stuff in different capacities around there, basically just helped out. This year I'm going to take a big step back and I'm going to be there for my subscribers. So if you want to meet me, come meet me at Quad State. It ought to be a good time. Come set your camp up right next to ours. We'll be in the Coleman tent.
Yep.
Basically, it's a big banana yellow tent. You can't miss it.
No.
It's like old 1970s or 1960s style tent.
It's very tall.
It's very tall.
You can like stand up in it.
It's an awesome tent. I mean, it's an awesome tent. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so come check us out in that. and set your tin up right next to us. Be glad for the company.
Let's see here. Rishi-san, we have a $2 super chat.
Thank you, Rishi-san. We appreciate you and your $2 super chat.
And he says, can you make a video on a simple first knife because I'm 12 and I just started forging?
Well as I appreciate you're 12 and you just started forging, I do not make knives. So it's something I'm kind of known for to be against, making knives. But in your case, I'll see if I can't make a letter opener at some point. That's kind of like the simplest thing where people who get into trying to make knives, they start there with a letter opener. And so I'll see if I can do a letter opener video on the channel just for you. But as far as knives, I'm not a knife person. I don't make kniffs, is what I like to call them. I don't make kniffs, anything that slashes, cuts, stabs, points, anything like that. That's
gonna say
that's not my thing.
The closest things we have on the channel is if you look up our polishing 101, he did make a knife-shaped piece of copper in that video. And then also the video on knife tongs, I believe he did like a basic shape of it, like it's not finished or anything. But
yeah, but I didn't forge it. I didn't forge it in the video.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right,
so yeah, I'll try to do a letter opener for you. Just up, yeah. But it's awesome that you're young and you're just getting into this craft. It's exciting to have you as part of the channel as well. Thank you for being here.
D. Thomas says, are you going to offer classes in the Dayton area?
That is something that I hope to do here very soon, yes. I'm still working out some details with my local club. They were still working out details on that. I kind of submitted a course schedule to teach classes through them, or them. But technically, it would be their classes, and I would just be instructor leading it. Basically, it's a project that I designed, but we'd be running it through the local blacksmith club here in Dayton, Ohio, Southern Ohio Forge and Anvil. But with that, there's always a bunch of board meetings, and higher ups have to do all the figuring on that, make sure that that's all up and legal, and the whole 9 yards. So haven't heard back on that yet, but I'm hoping something else will come up here very soon that will allow me to teach blacksmithing courses, or at least do one-on-one workshops here at the Forge. So keep an eye out for that.
Definitely.
So let's go to the anvil and get this forge in here, honey.
To the anvil. There we go.
Okay. So all I'm doing here is just lengthening this a little bit, putting a little back taper on it, and then I'm going to round it up. Nothing special. We're just giving myself a handhold here. Woo! Excuse me. Questions, honey? Comments?
Sure, yes.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I do. Let's see, there is a few. Let's see, County Line Forge said, since you're so close to 1,000 subs, how close are you to your 4,000 hours of watch time? Because if you get that, then you'll be able to monetize your channel and start playing ads. And I was just curious if that was part of your plan or not. And another thing I was going to ask is, since a lot of you guys have small YouTube channels, if you are interested, like if we did one of our business live streams, to do like a YouTube themed one where we just answer lots of YouTube questions and stuff. I'm just curious if you'd be interested in something like that. So if you would, let us know down in the comments. Something we've talked about a bit, but just haven't got around to it yet.
So I got to take one more heat on this. Got a little cool for what I was wanting to do. Basically, I'm just kind of knocking it off, kind of octagoning it just slightly, knocking the square corners off, and that'll be my drift. Mm-hmm. So once again, if you're going to make it look pretty if you can.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even though it's just mild steel drift. Plus, it allows me to stall for even more time.
See, I think everybody's throwing out just random B words in the comments. It's B&B Forge, I think they're saying he should extend his name to B and B and B and B and B for just all sorts of B words.
I forget whose channel I was watching, and it says, "Do not click, read more." In this guy's comment, it was a comment that he left. Do not click, read more is what he put as a comment. Of course you're going to click read more, right?
Yeah.
And so you click on the read more on his comment, and he put nothing, but it had to have been at least 400 B's in a straight line like that. I don't know how long it took the guy. I mean, he used up all the characters that are allowed.
Right. In
one letter. Just in a straight line like that. You had to scroll all the way to the bottom to find other people's comments. And I think he did A. It was A. He did an A all the way to the bottom. And then somebody else picked up where he left off and did B all the way to the bottom of theirs. Yeah, it was quite comical. Of course, I didn't read them all. I clicked off after that. But
that's why they warned you, don't read.
I just thought it was funny. I said that. Hey, don't click, read more. He's like, told you, gave you fair warning, way at the bottom of it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, looks like we got 5 or 6 people possibly interested in a YouTube stream. We'll probably announce it ahead of time then, and it'll be on one of our Monday nights when we normally do our business live stream. It'll be specifically, kind of YouTube business stuff. So yeah, we'll announce it before we do that, so that way anybody who's interested can come and join.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the ammo.
All right.
Basically, there's no point in any of this. This isn't structural or anything like that. It's just taking the corners off so it feels a little better in the hand, making it look a little cleaner. And that's it. You don't have to do this step. Heck, you could leave it just round or whatever the original parent bar stock was. I do suggest the little back taper. It does help center up the blows and prevents bending. I will suggest that, but again, it's not a necessity. All right, there we have it.
There we have it. Burst the steel.
Just like so.
Awesome.
Whoever likes that. And again, even though it's mild steel, let's go ahead and mark it.
Gotta mark it.
There we go. This will also help me locate my stuff if I teach a class somewhere. Since I won't be making another one of these drifts, I'll be able to locate this piece.
Unless you wrap it in green tape.
Yeah, unless I wrap it in green tape. So there we go. There's our little hammer eye drift. As you can see, it has more taper in this cross section than it does in this cross section. It's just a little simple change there. Usually you drift it like this, you get quite a bit of side spread, but very little front to back. In the wrought iron hammer, you want to do the opposite of suchness. So now after that, I just dunk these in cold water in the slack tub. There's no appreciable amount of carbon in the mild steel there to have to care about, and it's just going to get overheated by the hot wrought iron anyhow, so that's not going to matter. So there you have it, just like so. Alright, now we're going to cool this off the rest of the way, make sure it's good and cool. You're good to go.
Alrighty.
Good, good. Alright. They up here?
Yep, they are up there.
Okay. So we got this piece all cooled off, sitting by the side of the fire, all good and go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the belt grinder, which is actually behind my camera there, so I might have to wobble that out of the way just a little bit. So Jessica will have to go to her screen, huh?
I can do that.
You can go to her screen.
Sure.
So Jessica's going to segue over into our blacksmithpdfs.com page for all those that are unaware of what we do there. And she's going to tell you about some of the products and stuff that we offer to help blacksmiths. And yeah, so she'll do that now. And I'll grind this real quick.
All right, sounds good. All right, allow me to switch over.
Okay.
Yes. So for those of you who have not been to our website before, this is it. When you go to blacksmithpdfs.com, it puts you on this page, which is just a portion of actually our larger website. But we kind of condense all of our blacksmithing stuff on this page. So there at the very top, we have a monthly newsletter. Somebody asked me recently, I haven't seen the newsletter. Are you okay? Yes, we're okay. I've got a bunch of other stuff going on right now. I do plan on releasing a newsletter here in the next couple of weeks when we have a kind of a new landing page release. It's gonna have some extra information as well as like a calendar of events kind of thing. So that'll come out at that time period. So up at the very top, our first row of information there is like some of the plans bundles. So when we first started offering our plans, several people asked if they could be able to purchase like certain types or even all of them. So we did put everything on the all plans bundle, and just recently added the blacksmith cheat sheet on there as well. So it's on there too. It's roughly $175 worth of value for the all plans bundle, but you get it for $100. So the blacksmith cheat sheet, that is right here, and we'll go into that here in a moment. I'm also going to mention Roy's texturing power hammer. It's kind of been a little bit overlooked. It's our most recent release. It's basically a miniature power hammer that goes on the anvil, and it is for texturing like flower blanks and stuff, or anything that is like thin sheet metal. And so it's really handy for doing that. Roy, when he got into roses real big, like he was having to texture, like spend hours every day texturing the rose blanks, and like this really just trims it down to minutes instead of hours. So definitely, if you do flowers, consider building one of those. It'll save you a lot of time. So we'll take a look now at the blacksmith cheat sheet, which is the first item here. And this is my first ebook, so I was really excited to come out with it. It's been about a month ago that we came out with it. But what it is it has 50 hand-forged items in there, and it's pricing and keywords, and I did a bunch of research. Everything's text. I wasn't able to put any photographs up because we didn't have photographs of every single item in there, so I didn't go with that. It is text, but it has a description, and it has a variation, and well, it has a bunch of variations for each of the types of items, so that if you wanted to offer hooks, it gives you a few different ideas of different types of hooks within that, kind of like a subcategory there. And also it does have the keywords, which, as if you sell online, that's a very big part of having an online listing, is to do that, and it help you get a lot more traffic. And so I also put all of the keywords in a Word document, and it is where you can copy and paste it and just go ahead and put it onto your listing. So go back for a moment. I'll see if you guys have any questions while I still have this stuff up. Let me get back over to the common area here. Do you guys have any questions about anything with our blacksmithing page? I know we've had, and I also wanted to say thank you for everybody who's purchased the blacksmith cheat sheet recently. I've heard some really good reviews too from you guys, and that's a new section on our website too where people can leave reviews. So if you've ever purchased something and about, I think it's about 2 weeks later, you get sent an automatic email asking if you'd leave us a review, and then when you write one, then it goes to a little box where I can read it and review over what you've said, and then approve it, and then that way other people can read your comments too and know if it was helpful. So, all right, let me see what we got here. Can you subscribe twice? No, there's only unsubscribing and resubscribing. Let's see, Darren, you say the all plans bundle is a bargain. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, there is a ton of stuff on there, and it's also a lot handier for instead of having to download all the individual documents, because some of the pages we weren't able to condense. So some of the documents are about 30 pages long of individual PDF files, and it can be a little bothersome to have to download those individually, versus with the plans bundle, everything's like organized on a folder, like in multiple folders. And if you want to copy it onto your computer, you can, or you can just leave it on the disk. But it's really handy that way. Let's see, KJ Owens, hi to your daughter Kiara. Yeah, I'm gonna be careful about pushing the buttons, Mr. Coffee. My CPU's doing good. It's about 55% right now.
Keep on her, Mr. Coffee. Keep on her.
Right. He's like, you see him click. I can't click too fast. So.
Well done, sir.
Let's see, County Line Forge, he says tomorrow on his live stream he's going to show how his hammer turned out.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing that. Drop in the comment section, Mr. County Line there, what time that is again. Make sure you let everybody know what that is.
Granddad's Forge says, I'm getting that PDF. This temporary disability has taught me my job can't last forever. I want to retire doing something I actually love. Yeah, you know, that's a great idea. There's a lot of people that we've talked to and a lot of people on this channel that, yeah, that's like their retirement thing. You know, they still want to enjoy doing something and stay active, and so the blacksmithing is what they turn to. Yeah, definitely. All the projects on the cheat sheet, they're all small to medium-sized objects. So, like, I made sure, you know, that they would fit in an average-sized shop, and made sure also that it was, like, your standard type tools that you would have, like, nothing too elaborate or, you know, excessive. They're all standard items that a beginner to intermediate would be able to forge with reasonable skill.
Tell them to make sure to come by the Monday night live streams too when we talk about business.
Yes.
Be glad to help them along.
Yes. We do our Monday night live streams every Monday, 7 p.m. That's Eastern time. It's this same time of day that this one started. And we talk about business. We take all kinds of business questions there. We end up talking about all sorts of things. We try not to talk about forging during the business live streams because we do have some people joining us that aren't blacksmiths necessarily. So we try to keep it on topic there. But we talk about, you know, setting up for craft shows and just anything that's really relative to running a business. We talked last time about branding. That was the whole last Monday's live stream. So we talked about business cards and doing brochures and doing portfolios. And I showed some examples of that, which is all things that we've used personally and at some point or another. And if you haven't seen any of our videos on that stuff from last year, like we do have a ton of them. And I think a lot of it's in our Business of Blacksmithing playlist, which is, it was like last year's version of 3 at 3s. But a lot of the stuff was a bit longer, like up to 10 minutes or so. But yeah, I showed how to make your own business cards, how to make your own simple website, how to make like CD-ROM covers if you want to make DVDs of your products or product videos and mail those to your customers. Granddad's Forge, my wife left her phone laying around. James, you just got one more subscriber. She'll be like, who is this person?
Roll this here. Where we're at.
Let's see, Rishi-san, does anyone know how to finish steel with beeswax?
That is a good question. I don't use beeswax a lot, so I'll let somebody else answer that. Basically, you just bring it up to a nice dull temperature, dull red to black heat. I like the black heat myself. And then you apply the beeswax on hot. That's what I know of it. Somebody else might have a miracle solution, no? Worth to check out. Woo! Hot and sweaty in here today. Humidity is up with that rain. Boy, let me tell you. Do a little extra water on my hat here before we do the hardening and tempering of this slot punch.
County Line Forge, Penny Brown just says you hit 1,000. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you all.
That's a very good first milestone for having a YouTube channel. You know, they kind of set that as the bar now for being able to cross over into the partner program.
Yep. 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours watched in a year.
Yep. Which, by the way, if you're not yet at the 4,000 hours watched, doing live streams is a really good way to get your watch time up, because people are, you know, a lot of people watch the whole time. So, you know, if one person watches for an hour, each person is 60 minutes worth of, or an hour's worth towards that grand total. Said he has 6,000 hours so far. So good. Yeah, you're above the bar then. That's awesome.
You're set, County Line. You're set. Awesome. Everybody give County Line a hand clap. Thank you all for going over and supporting another Smith. That is awesome.
Darren says, be sure to follow the plans and build it as specified. Trust the plans and it will save you time, money, and frustration. And then Roy will rest easier and not have to make another video.
Yep. That is exact. So you'd be amazed at how many people who buy the plans, they deviate wildly from the plans. But then they always come back and ask me questions. Not always. Some of them come up with really good ideals that I didn't even think about, and they're awesome. But we get a lot of questions where somebody comes back and they ask, and like, hey, this isn't working right. What would you suggest? And it's like, well, what'd you do? Well, I made 6 burners. Yeah, but the plans was for 2, you know? And they've got all sorts of, I did it in a trash barrel, and I did this, and I did that, and kind of 1.5 million different things. And then it's like a technical question on my end of like, why didn't my plans work? Because you didn't follow. You didn't follow the plans. There's a reason why they're drafted a certain way. Certain sizes were used, drill bit sizes, orifices, yada yada yada, stuff like that. There's a reason why that was spent money on to draft those plans that way.
Yeah.
It was because that was what worked for me. So, all right. Okay, so now we need to harden and temper this bad boy. So I'm going to bring it over here to the anvil cam real quick, so everybody can see this just fine.
Go ahead.
I'm going to try to zoom on up here a little bit. Hopefully you guys can still see this.
Yep.
Everybody see that?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so basically I've rounded the end, so it's round, and I've got 2 little flats here at about what you would consider maybe a 70 degree angle, something like that. Basically just not flat across, it's just slightly pointed into the center. Almost flat, but slightly pointed into the center. That'll help us find the same center punch mark every time when we go into the piece. The rear end of the tool, all I did was dress off the rag on the back end of the coil spring, so this way it makes a nice hitting spot. So I'm going to do basically my one heat harden and temper method for this tool, which will be perfectly sufficient as this is going to engage hot material. So if it is a little brittle, which it usually is not, that's going to be perfectly okay in this situation. We are going to harden in water, and then we are going to temper it in that same step. We're going to temper the cutting edge, if you will, in the same step. Okay, let's bring them out. Now, if anybody has any questions on this, I have been doing an entire series, and surprisingly enough, they haven't been getting a lot of traction or a lot of views. I don't think it's overly too popular. It's not Damascus, and it's not a knife, so
Nope.
it's not going to be that popular. But I have been doing a whole chasing tool series, making chasing tools from coil springs. You really need to check out that series if you want to take and do things like what you've seen on the side of that hammer. That was done with those tools. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to take and do that. But in each one of those series, I go over really in-depth in detail about this one heat treating option for hand tools like this. using water as the quench method on tool steel, on the coil spring from automotive coil spring. It works great. It's a great method. It's a great way of doing stuff that needs to be really super hard and be able to hold up well to doing chasing work. It is also a great method when you're in a hurry and you need a slot punch. Pretty quick, fast, in a hurry, because again, you're engaging like super hot material with the slot punch. Chances are it's going to temper itself over time anyhow. So, you know, it's another great method that way. It'll save you all boodles of time. You know, you don't have to put it in the oven for 5 hours at 300 degrees or 450 or whatever. So.
Mike G says, well, Roy, I watched those videos, my friend. Great detail.
Well, I'm glad you liked them. Glad you liked them. I know some of you all been watching them. You know, like I said, I was surprised. I had a pretty big outcrying of people wanting to know how to make chasing tools. I did a whole video series on it, and they're like some of the lowest viewed videos on my channel right now. That just goes to show you, you know.
You know what'll happen though. You'll post a video on how to use those tools on some sort of really awesome project, and then everybody will go run over and look at it.
Yeah. Then everybody will be asking me a zillion questions on how do you make those tools. I did an entire video series on them, so I'll be all set. I'm thankful for every view you guys give me, because ultimately you're taking time out of your day to watch my content. You know, that I'm putting out there, and I can't thank you enough for that. I'm thankful for every subscriber, every watch time minute that you guys give me, every comment. I'm very thankful for those. So don't take this as a gripe at all. I'm just putting that out there because I know some of you will be like, you didn't show it doing the hardening and tempering thing. I've shown it 5 times already. So just check the channel for the chasing tool series, right? Yep. And they're done in a 3-step process. Step 1 is the forging of the tool, or the rough forging. Step 2 is the filing of the tool. Step 3 is the hardening and tempering step. And that way you guys can get a good handle on it. Basic, what's got up?
Oh, sure. John McCann says they will get popular as people realize how useful they are.
Yes, they will. So, and I've got a lot of big projects that are going to be coming in with this that you guys are going to be like, dang, I wish I would have started on those months ago. So you can follow along. They're going to be real fun, and I really hope you guys will enjoy them. They'll be a little more on the advanced side, but I still think a good beginner that has a good concept of the fundamentals will be able to do these projects as well. Now they're going to up the ante just a little bit. So, big step. You always want to take and heat up the struck end to the critical temperature first. You don't want to put the cutting edge and heat it up to critical temperature first in this operation, or let's just go with non-magnetic temperature. The reason for this being is you do not want to get grain growth in the tip of the cutting or the working into the tool. You can get some grain growth in the struck end of the tool because it doesn't matter as much. You should be hammering on this with a soft face hammer or with a regular hammer. It's okay if it mushrooms out just a little bit. It's not going to be a big deal. But that's the last thing you want the cutting end of the tool to do. So we'll stick that in the fire first, and we'll bring that end up to critical first. Once it is up to critical, then we will pull it out, flip it around, and then put the cutting end in. What that'll do is that'll allow that cutting end to come up to exactly critical temperature, where it needs to be, nice and slow and even. It's kind of got a nice preheat. It allows all that to get in there really nice and easy. Everything's relaxed. The steel's not getting stressed out because you're bringing it up too hot too fast. And then we quench the cutting edge, or the working end of the tool, and then we flip it quickly and quench the struck end of the tool. After that, we polish just the face a little bit with a sharpening stone, some sort of stone or abrasive. I find sharpening stones the best, as sandpaper can scorch your hands if it's hot. So again, just we'll do a couple quick strokes, and we'll watch the temperature colors run, and we'll take this to what would be considered a bronze color. It will go quicker than what I just explained it. Any questions on that?
Let's see here. Not on that specifically. Everybody's talking about what time of day they like to watch you. Coffee Sport says, I like to bend to watch your videos at 2 a.m. and in the shop painting or something
Awesome.
and watching Rose videos. Techronmatic,
Awesome,
I tried
awesome.
that this morning but couldn't hear Roy over the grinder, lol. Ben Toombs, heck, you know I watched you while I'm driving, allegedly.
You guys are awesome. Thank you all for being a part of the channel. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Yeah, the Got Milk, they said, thank you, I appreciate every video you make because I know it takes time to do so. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. We get a complaint every now and then that, that they don't have enough time to watch all of our videos.
Yeah.
But if you've ever made a video, you realize it takes 10 times more time into making the video than it does just the viewing time of it. So it's kind of funny. But
So I'm pretty good at making videos these days. I can make them pretty quick. It's about, you're viewing about a third. You're viewing about half to a third edited down is what you're doing. So you're almost as close to real time as you're probably going to get. I spend very little time. I clip in and out. I eliminate that. So there's probably an additional, like I said, 2/3 of time that you don't see on the video, like heating time and stuff like that, that goes into it. But that's come from nearly 1,000 videos of practice.
yeah, it still takes me about 15 to 30 minutes per video on SEO also.
Yeah, so it takes a little while. It's taken us nearly 1,000 videos of practice for me to get to this point. And it's probably take 1,000 more before I actually get as entertaining as Alex Steele. Oh. I just can't select the right pop music.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I went techno once, and then no one liked techno.
Oh no.
And you go country, then you got people who don't like country. Then you go rap, and nobody likes rap. Well, some people do, but again, then you got people who don't like rap. So I stray away from all that and just teach you, pure and simple. So, which can both be a good thing and a bad thing, because you got to listen to this voice all day long.
Susan Ellis says, without us, you'd have a date night with Jessica. As it is, this has become our date night. Ha
Alright, I just went in for the flip. The end was critical, so I went ahead and flipped it and put it back in. So, just to let you know, update. Yeah, some people accuse us of not really having a life. We have a pretty good life, actually. We do make time for this. It's all about time management, and some days we do good at that, some days we do horrible at that.
Yep. Yesterday we didn't get much work done at all.
Yesterday was horrible.
Like groceries.
It was horrible. Yesterday was no progress in the forge at all for me. But yeah, it's just kind of a time management thing. You just gotta work with the day, basically. Work with the day. Work with the same 24 hours that everybody gets. It's just how efficient you are at those 24 hours is how well you'll do with being able to manage all this sort of things. Alright, so we're up to a nice good critical temp.
Alright, ready.
We're non-magnetic. No one's going to be able to see this, so I'm going to quench it and do the whole rubbing of the stone thing.
Okay.
Sorry about this, that you won't be able to see this. I just don't have the camera set up. They're all wired in.
You just get to hear about it.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
Stick it back in there for a second. Hold on.
Getting away from you.
Yeah, I need to switch to a different pair of tongs so I can grab it properly. So I'm grabbing it in the center. I'm quenching the tip for about 1 inch, submerged under the water. Now I'm flipping it over and I'm quenching the struck in for 1 inch, submerged in water. And now I'm putting a little shiny spot on the edge here. Doesn't have to be a bunch, just enough that you can see the colors run. And so now we're going to hold it at about a horizontal angle. And I'm going to wait until I see a light straw, almost bronze. It wants to be a bronze color. Come up to the tip. And once that bronze color gets there, it is the right temperature. We're almost there. Just starting to get the touch of a pale straw. And there's the bronze. Then you quench the whole tool. And just like that, you've got a hardened and tempered tool. Very quick, very efficient. Now, obviously you'd wire wheel this up and use, whatever your favorite boiled linseed oil or a beeswax finish on it or whatever, to finish it off properly. What's up?
Granddad's Forge. The Adams kids must dread Friday night. Actually, they love it.
No.
They get to go over to Mamaw's house and have all sorts of yummy stuff. So
Yeah.
they look forward to Friday night.
They love it. When Friday night comes around, they're like, "See ya, suckers!" They're out of there.
Like Wednesday, they're like, "How many more days is it?"
Yeah, they're happy to see us go.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet.
Ben Toombs, they're probably running completely amok and the house is probably on fire. LOL. No?
Well, if it is, it's all mammals, so I don't care.
Our house.
It's all my mom's, not my house. So, all right, I don't know if they can see that. I don't know. They probably won't be able to see the color on here, but I'm gonna give it a worthwhile shot anyhow.
I can see a little bit of a yellowish straw.
Can you see a little bit of the color hue?
Yeah, a little bit. Right about there, yeah.
So I don't know if you can see that at all.
Oh, there's better. That's in focus.
Is that better? Can
Yeah.
you see the hue?
Yep.
So yeah, so now you know that that tool is hardened and tempered properly. And if you look back here, you'll see it. Up here, it's like that, starting to get into the gunmetal. Here, it's like blue. Here, it's purple. And back and up in here in this tip, it's starting to go to that straw, then to bronze color. So it's like bronze back in here and then straw once it gets out here. So you can kind of see that in the scale, reflective. But, once again, this is a really great way of hardening a tool. And as you always do this, until you get good at this, you'll want to make sure that you check it over after you do this step. You want to check it for any cracks or any chipping or anything that you might see, little hairline fractures in the piece. You want to check that over real good the first several times that you do this and get comfortable with your method. It's probably not a bad idea to check it over every time you make a tool like that, just to do that, because again, things can happen. Stuff doesn't always become the same. Maybe you get some weird stock that's not quite the same alloy that you were working with before, and something could break and shatter and throw a piece across the room at somebody, and it can be a bad deal. So always make sure to check stuff over after you've hardened it and tempered it, to just make sure that you have no cracks or chips or fractures.
Yeah.
Zoom back.
Alright, let's see here. Rishi, Roy, have you ever lost your piece among the coals?
Yep, lost last live stream actually.
Yep. Let's see. And he also asked, how old are you? Guys, you look too young to have kids. We are approaching 30 within the next year. So.
I am 30 this year.
Yep.
Oh.
He's beating it to me. He's older than me, so.
We've been married 11 years.
Yep.
If you can believe that.
We got married at 18, had our first kid at 21, and celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year.
Yep. Been a fun time. Growing and learning. Growing and learning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we got the wrought iron hammer to take and put in the forge. I need to find something that'll find the right size tong I want to grip this with.
Ben Toombs. Roy is 74. He looks pretty good, huh?
Ben, you're a ham.
Must be a fountain of youth around here somewhere.
Yeah. Buddy, I hope I look this good at 74. If I do, I can die a happy man.
Coffee's Forge. If the chat's not working, try refreshing the page. It looks like it's working on our end. Thomas Urso, now he feels old. Rishi says, Roy, you look like 24 and Jess looks like 22.
Oh, thank you.
Why do we look young?
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
you know, the funny thing is, like, I used to get annoyed at, like, being carded. Like, if you go into Walmart and you buy, like, a can of paint, they card you, right? Like, that sort of thing. I used to get annoyed all the time. And now, man, I could walk out of Walmart with a bottle of liquor and everybody's like, yeah, he's all right. I'm like, hey, how do you know that I'm that old, you know? And it's just, that's just how that works. So, what you doing, Jess?
It's just adjusting it. They can see the bottom of the iron there.
Okay, now you guys see it. And that's crooked as the dog's leg.
Okay.
I'm running way uphill over there.
Okay.
Crank it the
You'll
other
have
way.
to tell me, because
That way.
the other way?
Go the opposite way, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
a little better. Back the other way, just a fuzz. Shouldn't have messed with it.
I was just...
There we go.
I have a crooked eye, apparently. I can't see the straight line, because I like to use the lines.
So she uses the lines of the shop. The shop, however, though, is not level. It's not even close. If I put a quarter on that end, it'd roll all the way out to that end at Mach speed. So, you know, it'd be at Mach 2 by the time it got to the other end of the shop. So, cannot trust that.
Granddad's Forge says today is their 22nd anniversary.
Awesome. Congratulations, Granddad's Forge. Andrew, using your anniversary to watch me smith in the shop. What's wrong with you?
Rashusund, is your big red jug your fountain of youth?
That's what it is. It's got the secret elixir in it.
Yep. Sleepless in New York, looking good at 74. No walker needed.
Yeah. Yeah, you do that. Grab my gloves here real quick.
All right. Darren says, maybe you need to put flags up in your shop. That will show Alec. There's not much space for flags, actually.
Yeah, not much. They would get in the way and probably catch fire.
Probably.
For me. He has excellent flag control. Love it. Alex is a good kid, man. Works hard. Proud of that young man. I used to hate when people call me young man back when I was in my early 20s. I'm like, I'm a man. They're like, you're a young man. You're a whippersnapper. I'm a man. Now I'm like, oh, please somebody call me a young man. Spring chicken. A whippersnapper.
Let's see, we are about 2 hours and 7 minutes in, and we have 39 currently watching.
Awesome, awesome. Good to have you all here. Well, all the ones that ducked out early.
They missed the good part.
They're missing out on the good part. We're about to slot punch this puppy.
Yeah.
And then we're going to drift it. And that's it. Like I said, it's anticlimactic, but it works. Okay. Bring it up nice and hot.
Let's see, BG Cannon, also known as LFA, says the metal releases a lot of IR and some UV when at high heat. Have you taken any special eye precautions?
Don't look at the flames. And the safety glasses I have are UV rated. So, basically, at welding heats, at forging heats, I look into the flame, I check on the material, and then I look away. And that's kind of my way of protecting my eyes from too much over radiation of the flame. That's my special precautions. All right. Question? Comment?
Darren says, I turned 50 this month and I got the senior discount at our local farm store.
Woohoo! Oh no.
It's one of those, yes, but maybe not.
Yep.
I don't want to admit it.
All right, honey. Let's go over here to the anvil.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a good wind-up shot for what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to bring this out. This isn't at too high of a heat yet. This is kind of like a low, this is probably the lower end of a heat for wrought iron. But you'd want to do this. We're going to come up to the apex, find the center, and we're going to give it a tap. And we're going to go ahead and move that over just a bit. This is why you lay it out good first. There we go. Now we're in the center pretty good. And again, just keep going right on down through there. We're trying to aim for the center, if at all possible. Didn't get quite true to center, but that's okay. Can they see that?
Yep, they sure can.
See the hole there?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're going to stop it. Wrought iron does not like to be worked cold. Do not continue going at this heat. Bring it out to a really high temperature and then go back at it. It does not like doing this cold. Bring it out at a high temperature, then go back at it. If you don't, you're asking for trouble. Always.
Mike T, awesome drift time.
Yep. There's a little bit of a... So, whenever you're demonstrating something or a process for people, it always takes longer than what it does in real life. And what I mean by real life is, you know, I'm trying to think through and explain and make sure I'm not missing a step to take and tell people what it is that I'm doing and why, and what the punch is doing and what I'm observing, so this way you can get a feel of what's actually happening. And that takes extra time than if I were to just pull this out and get it done. You know, make sure I got my mark and then just go to driving it home and be done with it, right? If I was able to do that, it would take a lot less time. I would have had this punched in one heat, basically. There would be no shame in taking a second heat, which we're doing now. But this, because we're demonstrating, might even take a third heat on this. Just so this way we get it accurate, we get it down through, and I can explain to you what's happening as it goes. What's up?
Spencer Coots, I still can't believe he named his anvil. What a nerd.
Yep, Olga.
Well,
she's a good
he
girl.
spent as much to buy that anvil as he did to marry me, so I guess he has the right to give it a name.
Not quite, honey.
Well, maybe not, but it's close.
We spent $6,481 exactly to get married. That anvil was nowhere close to that. $3,210 in total for the anvil. So, real close. Real close.
Coffee's Forge. I'd name something that big and beautiful too, Spencer.
Definitely have to. Woo!
Does anybody have big plans for the weekend? We have, if the weather's good, fingers crossed, we're supposed to have a barbecue with the family. So that's kind of our plans, besides working, of course.
Yep. All right, this is hot again.
All right.
Bring up the anvil. Right at the anvil. And we're going to aim again. I'm trying to make sure I direct this punch straight down to the anvil. Keep that cool so it doesn't over temper. And we are almost there. So I'm going to take one more whack to it. I could have used to grind this a little more round, or file it rather. We're going to let that cool for a second, and then we're going to flip it over, that little dot. We want to punch that out from the back side. To do this, we're going to set it over the hardy hole to protect our top portion, the crown portion, and give that a little tap. And give it another little tap. And as this cools down, it'll come a little easier to us. Oh, we are almost there. So close. Metal slugs like to be sheared out cold. So don't be afraid to throw it over the hardy hole like that. Again, we've got to protect that top crown portion. We almost got this slug tore out of here. So I'm going to set it one more time. I think I can get it in this heat. Probably get it to drive the rest of the way. There we go. It's gone now. Just like so. Hole. Are you see?
Yeah, we see
Okay.
it.
And it's good because we've avoided any sort of crackage or anything like that. That's what we're wanting. We didn't want any crackage. We wanted to shear off the grain structure there. Will everyone see that fine?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, now come the fun part. So this, now we'll come back in with the next heat and we'll start our little drifting operation. All we're going to do is give this a few blows to just set this drift in, but then we're going to turn this up on end like so, and we are going to upset the hole. We want to take and swell out the hole before we continue to drift. So drift a few hits down this way, and then stand it up on end and upset that hole opening. That will stop it from getting those cracks that you see. Hopefully that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Get this heated back up.
Let's see, everybody is kind of sharing their plans for the weekend here. Sounds like some work and some blacksmithing stuff's going on.
Awesome, awesome.
Let's see, Rishi said he's gonna forge a knife. Paul Ellis asked what Olga weighs.
What's that?
What does Olga weigh?
Olga weighs 465 beautiful pounds.
Coffee's Forge said he'll be working on Saturday.
Awesome, Coffee's Forge.
Granddad's Forge is going to attend a hammer in.
Cool, cool. Oh, Coffee's Forge, by the way. Get with me, would ya? I got a little bit of a proposal for you. If you don't mind. Either get with me at the next club meeting, or you can email me at christcenteredforge@gmail and just say, hey, what's up, Roy? I don't think I have your email on file.
Sure.
So just go ahead and email me on either the contact page on the website or christcenteredforge@gmail, and get with me. I've got a bit of a project coming up that I want to be doing later this fall. And it's going to involve moving quite a bit of material. Let's just say a lot of this stuff, a lot of wrought iron at one time. And I'm going to need a few strong backs and weak minds to strike for me. And your name came up to the top of my list. I'm joking. Watch, he just unsubscribed from the channel.
I don't know. Somebody was saying there's 2 thumbs down. Might be a third one.
There might be a third thumb down before I know it.
Let's see. Thomas Doubting Watchtower. Sometime you might want to try forging a jaw heart.
A jaw heart. Yeah, I saw Tim. I don't know if I want to do a jaw heart. That looked like a lot of intense work there. Tim at Big Dog Forge did that.
Spencer says, where did you get the name Olga?
I just figured it was fitting. I kind of like German and Russian and Yugoslavian names and things like that. I don't know, I just kind of dig them. And I don't know if Olga's one of those things, or it could be more Scandinavian, I think. That's where it comes from. I just like all those kind of foreign names, you know. I could have named it Bill. Or Jill,
Be a little less fun to say.
or Jimmy, or John, or something like that, but American names, for some reason, just don't interest me. So.
Mike G, I just finished forging a lady's hair clip and pen. Yeah, I'd seen, when I did my research for the blacksmith's cheat sheet, that was one of the items I added in there, and I thought those were pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it definitely takes like a delicate touch to work with the smaller material, the thinner material for that.
Alright, let's go to the anvil, Jess.
Alright.
Let's go to the anvil. We'll pull this out of here before it falls to the bottom. Good and hot. Like I said, light welding heat or so. We're going to come over the hardy hole of the anvil. If you got a Pritchell hole, you do it there too. I'm just trying to do it over the hardy hole because it's closer to y'all. Take your drift out periodically, make sure it's cool. And we're starting to get that round now. So we're going to flip it over. We're going to do the same to the other side now. We'll get another heat on this and do that. Again, remember, you take a few hammer blows on it, then you stand it up on end. Take a few setting blows to drift it, and then you stand it up on end. So now at this point I want to point out something here. If you'll notice, this portion here is puckering out more than this portion here. That's because this here was allowed to lay deeper in the fire and therefore got hotter than what this side did. So if we take and go ahead and lay this in the forge like so, next time we come out and drift, this side will do all the moving, where that side will stay mostly still. That's how you correct that. Don't let it go too far, otherwise you'll regret it.
Nathan Huffman says, now I have to name my anvil. Let's see.
Better watch it. It gets kind of contagious.
Yep. Mike G says, Olga can be Italian. That's the name of my grandmother. And Billy Strong says, Olga is Swedish.
Olga is Swedish, okay. Well, I bet you we're going to get about 87 different opinions on the name Olga.
Maybe.
I just thought it sounded cool. Yeah, I think that is what I had in mind when I did name it, you know. Because at first I thought Helga. And I'm like, no, it's not really a Helga. I think it's an Olga. So I went with Olga. Don't ask me how I come up with these things. Who knows?
Thomas Urso says, I bought me a 150-pound Vulcan anvil in primo shape 2 weeks ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, Roy had a Vulcan there for a bit, and I think he sold off two of his anvils to help.
One of them was a Vulcan, and it was a 175-pound Vulcan anvil. Great little anvil. Great anvil. Quiet, good and quiet, as it being a cast anvil. It was a great quiet anvil, but I wanted Olga more, so I had to sell off the other anvils.
Yep.
Sometimes a man just has to make choices in life. And that's one of those choices Roy had to make.
B&B Forge, I'd like a real anvil, but I'll keep hitting my track. Somebody had asked earlier, is there such a thing as a bad anvil?
The only bad anvil is one that doesn't hold up to you beating on it. You know, there's preferences in anvils all across the board. Some people like a certain brand or certain type. Some are loyalist to Peter Wright's only. Some are loyalist to Reiflinghaus or Pettinghaus anvils. Olga is a Pettinghaus. Basically, some are, say, a certain style's better, shape's better. Again, those are all just personal preferences. I'm telling you, if you're starting from the ground up when you've got nothing but a sledgehammer head stuck in the dirt, and that's what you've been pounding on, a railroad track anvil is a beautiful anvil. When you go from that to maybe like a Harbor Freight anvil or an anvil-shaped object of some kind that's bigger and has more mass to it, that is an amazing object. You know, that's an amazing anvil. And then when you get your first real anvil, as they would say, that, you know, has all the bells and whistles and it's got chips and, you know, chunks missing from it, you're going to say that is a good anvil, you know, as you progress. And now, you know, as I go along, now I want something that has a perfectly clean face to it. You know, I worked for a long time on anvils that had chisel marks and all sorts of stuff that you had to avoid while smithing, otherwise you'd beat it right into the surface of your material. You know, again, but it was still a step up from my Harbor Freight anvil, so it was a good anvil. It had big old sway in the back of it, and I just worked with it. So, answer the question in short, no, I don't think there's anything such thing as a bad anvil. It's just if it doesn't hold up to the abuse that you're putting it through, then it's just a bad tool in general. All right, let's go to the anvil.
All right.
Okay, so now I've stuck that side down the fire. It should move more than the other one now. I'm going to try to aim for that side a little bit more. And start to bend a bit. So I'm going to use my wrought iron hammer to, or not my wrought iron hammer, my mallet to bend it back over the right way. There we go. Cool that drift a bit better. And now I need to do just a little shaping on this because now it's starting to get, because of the upsetting, it's kind of getting a little wonky on you. Get a little wonky, but that's okay. We'll get that fixed up here in a jiff. Now at this heat, I'm not really shaping that much. I'm more or less just correctively bending. It's not really doing a lot of heavy material change or forging. It's just straightening out bends that are occurring. So you can get away with this on wrought iron. Don't push your luck. Don't push your luck too much. You just might end up regretting it. Okay, we'll get another heat on that.
Okay.
Come along.
Good. Dustin Dixon says his anvil's name is Frankenstein's Monster because he made it out of parts and pieces.
Hey, just be thankful you can beat on something, right?
Yep. Granddad's Forge says, I was thinking what to name my chunk of rail in the Harbor Freight anvil. LOL, something Chinese. And then Tom Surso has said, a good Chinese name is Some Ting Wong. LOL.
Oh, that's bad. That's so bad it's good.
Nathan Huffman says, what's your opinion on wrought iron anvils?
I love them. I think they're great. I think they're a piece of Americana or world history, if you will. And I think there's nothing wrong with them. I think they're just as good as any anvil out there. So, I like them. In fact, I've got a little one that I use for demonstration. It's a little 100-pound mouse hole anvil, and it's wrought iron with steel with a high carbon face welded on. I love that little anvil. Seen a lot of years, century or two of use. So, a real nice anvil. Still.
County Line Forge named his anvil Spock. Is that Star Trek or Star Wars?
It's Star Trek.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm not real into those.
Somebody asked about losing pieces in the fire. Almost did it again on this thing.
Yeah.
These little pieces, they like to get lost in the fire. I'm just trying to get this wrought fixed up here from all the drifting we've done with it. I got a bit of a twist in it. Came from somewhere. Who knows where that twist came from? Just trying to straighten that up. Looks like it's getting there. Take a little more fiddling around, I think. But we're basically there. There. Beautiful. Using some planishing blows to clean everything up. Straighten everything out. Good to go. Alright. So now I've got it drifted from the top side. I'm going to flip it over and drift it from the bottom now. And yes, it's very small, but it doesn't need a whole lot. This is a very tiny hammer, so it's going to take a small hammer handle. That's why I needed the specialty drifts. Otherwise, the thing would have a huge hole in the center of it. It'd have more hole than it had hammer.
Let's see here. County Line Forge says, I'm afraid to see the prices of anvils at Quad State. Coffee's Forge says, not too bad, James. I ran out of money before I got to the anvils, and they're cheapest on the last day.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that problem too. I run out of money every year at Quad State. Well, every year that I'm not working, so I haven't actually ran out of money in the last couple of years, so. I've been too busy preoccupied working. I haven't even been by the tool sales, so.
Yeah. Granddad's Forge, Quad State is in Troy, Ohio.
Yep. Definitely need to come check it out if you get a chance. Okay, I'm going to do this last little bit of drifting from underneath once this is up to temp. And then we're going to call it good for the string.
Okay.
The only thing left to do is just kind of do the finish work on it. I'll have to file it a little bit, get some of the lines cleaned up on it. But other than that, that'll be it. And then I'll etch it. I'll put out a community post when I get that done, and on that portion of it. And then we'll handle it after that. Maybe do that the following live stream or something. Sometime we'll put a handle in it.
Yeah.
Put a handle in it and use it on some small little project during the live. How's that sound?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, bring it to full completion. Yeah.
Yeah, bring it to full completion. Who wants that? Of those who are still around.
Yeah, 41.
41 people.
Yep.
Cool.
2 hours and 31 minutes in.
Good. Well, we're about a half hour over, but that's still not bad. Could be worse. What up? Questions? Comments?
Sure. County Line Forge says, see, not too bad for you guys up there. It's not good for guys down here. I paid $2 a pound for my 200-pound Vulcan in awesome condition.
Huh. That's not too bad.
Frank Strock says, current anvil is a Central Forge Russian-made cast steel from Harbor Freight.
It's all right, as long as it works. All right, let's go to the anvil, Jess.
All right.
Go ahead and drift this. If I can get a hold of it. Again, always take really nice high heats if you can. We're coming in from the underside now. It's about like we want it. It's actually looking pretty good. I'm not going to address any of the swelling there. I like that. I think that's pretty good. Give that a tap off. We're good to go. And there you have it, ladies and gents.
Cool. Granddad's Forge says do it. Jeremy Walker, nice to have you and your sons. Hi Miles.
Yep, Jeremy Walker. Miles, good to have you. Let's get this all cleaned up here. Said I'll have a little tweaking, a little profiling file to do and stuff on it. Not going to do a whole lot on this. I think I am going to etch it. For those that wanted to see an etched hammer. So we'll do that, just so this way it's a course of study and you can see how the wrought iron flows and the grains and all that stuff we've talked about happening. So I'll give it some file work and then go ahead and etch it. there you have it.
Cool.
Little Scandinavian crossbeam. So next week's live stream, we will handle this baby. It'll be all etched and whatnot. We'll have it all etched, ready to put the handle on it. We'll put the handle on it and go to town.
Cool.
What's everybody think?
Let's see here.
Oh, and so I don't forget it, well, I'll wait, I'll do it on the heat treat. But just before I heat treat it. I need to put my touch mark in there, but
Yeah, definitely got
need to remember it this time.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Spencer Coote said, I would like it. Thomas Urso, bring it on. Billy Strong, anything you do is great.
I'm glad you all feel that way. So how did you all like seeing the tools being made to make the wrought iron hammer tonight? The drift and the punch all made in one evening to do the punch and the slit and drift of this hammer. How'd you all like that?
Let's see here. I'll give him a minute to answer it. Spencer Coote says, Roy, are there any projects you do that you do not document?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yep.
There's a bunch of projects that I don't document. Sadly enough, there's just not enough time in the day to document everything I do. Mainly customers' orders, I don't document them very well. I do a slew of copper work. I don't document that. I've done some videos on it on the channel about kind of like how to or a day in the life type deal. But after that, I don't really document the individual processes too much when it comes to that. Things when I've got specialty work to do or floral sculptures or stuff like that, I don't document that as much. I've had several custom hammers, and if I document anything, I might document the chasing or something, chasing work. This last rounding hammer, I didn't document any of that. Just again, I need to get the order out the door and not spend too much time fiddling with it. It takes a lot of mental focus when you're doing that sort of thing to get it to come out right. So I would say there's probably a good 60 or 70% of my work that's undocumented, pictures or otherwise. If I do get a picture, I feel like it's something I wouldn't mind doing again, then you'll see it on my website for sale. Or as an example piece of something I can do for someone. But if it's something that I'm like, no, that was a pain in my butt, I'm not going to do those anymore, which there's a lot of those.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I don't do them anymore, so.
I literally have thousands of photographs. And yeah, we maybe have 100 on our portfolio. So
yeah,
there's a bunch.
Now we've been at this a long time. You know, not as long as some, but I know in the last 2 years we've put out over 2,000 pieces of just copper work alone, not to mention iron work on top of that in just the last 2 years, two and a half years of smithing. So yeah, a lot goes undocumented with that.
See here. Yeah, we have, let me see, to answer your question that you had posed out there.
Yeah.
County Line Forge, we stayed to watch, didn't we? Haha.
Yeah, good. Smart man. Good answer.
Frank Stock enjoyed it.
Awesome.
BG Cannon, seeing the tools made it much more educational. Thank you for that.
Good, I'm glad that helped.
Granddad's Forge, Troy is 7 hours from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Still might be worth it.
Dude, if you're coming to Quad State, it's completely worth it. It is completely worth it. You will be so glad that you did, and you'll be like, honey, cancel next year's vacation time. I'm going to Quad State. End of story. It's that good. Everybody enjoys it. It's a really great time. It's a blacksmith paradise for tools and conversation and liar's benches all around. And
there's always, at least 4 demonstrations going on.
At least four demonstrators. 4 rings doing something. Last year they had 6. I think they're going to have...
Yeah, they also have a U-Forge area.
Yeah, they're going to have even more. They have U-Forge area for people who are just getting into it or want to give it a try. Yeah, gallery, great big gallery. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Check out, if you're curious what it's like look up my quad state videos. I did 3 of them, 1 for each day last year. So check those out.
Yep. So also, I wanted to take and show this on camera here, and I don't know if we can get it up close. I'm going to show you guys, because I was pushing this a little bit. I don't know if they can see it with the... How's that? Is it dark?
It's a little dark.
It's a little dark?
I can see it's
okay.
highlighting off of the surface.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can bring up this ISO a little bit. Go the other way. There we go.
There you go.
How about that?
Yeah, that's brighter.
Everybody see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right here, bring out Mr. Thing again. So right here, I got a little bit of rag where the punch came out. Where I punched where I was slot punching that. Because you know that I went through the top first, then I flipped it over and I pushed out the rag the opposite way. I pushed it out the opposite direction, right through there. So that produced a little rag here on the top that you'll have to clean up with a file. Mm-hmm. But then back here, just here, we're getting just a little bit of surface cracking. Ever so slightly. I don't know if you can see that on camera. There's just a wee bit of surface crack right here at the edge of the hole.
Yeah,
that's not bad. If I would have not have upset the material as I drifted the hole, that's that splitting I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So I was going a little aggressive at a lower heat, and that caused that to split out like that. So that is not critical. That is just the surface, just beginning to do that. If you catch yourself doing that, stop immediately. Get the piece hot. Mm-hmm. Get the piece hot and check your tool. Make sure your tool is not too aggressive for what you're doing. Otherwise, you've put all this hours into forge welding a face on it, forge welding in the other face, all to just split open a hammer or blow out the side. Okay, and that can happen. A good thing can go bad real quick on that. So just be careful with that. But as you can see, that's got that punch through there, and hopefully everybody likes that. I just wanted to point that out, and you know, we had very minimal of all of that. You can't even feel that crack. So it's good. And again, that's wrought iron. That's just wrought iron opening up. That's not something that'll be a critical defect that'll split open on you as you're using it or anything like that. You're not in danger of a chunk flying off at you or anything. Because it's just wrought iron. It's soft iron in that area. So that's not something to worry about. Just want to point that out.
Okay.
Okay. So we're good to go.
Alrighty.
Did everybody enjoy the stream? If you did, give me a big thumbs up on the stream. Make sure you hit that like button.
And County Line Forge did ask about the touch mark. I know you addressed that, but...
Okay. The touch mark, I like to put my touch mark in right before I do heat treating. So when I bring it up for the hardening step of the thing, and I bring it up above critical, and I check it to make sure it's at critical, I will touch mark it, and then I'll touch mark it, then put it back in the forge, bring it up to that full critical temperature, and then I'll quench the whole hammer head then, and that's how I do the touch mark. Because at that point, I've done all the filing work, I've done all the cleanup work, everything's finished. All we are doing then at that point is bringing it to a hardening and tempering mode, and then there's a little cleanup work after that, but not enough to affect the touch mark. If I were to put the touch mark in now and then went to do a bunch of heavy grinding, say on a piece of high carbon tool steel or something like that, and I had a lot of shaping to do afterwards with maybe belt sander or something like that, you can end up grinding it out, your actual touch mark, if it's not deep enough. So you want to wait for the touch mark until almost the very last heat or end on these type things.
Just so long as you don't forget, huh?
So long as you don't forget it. Yep, so as long as you don't forget it. Alright, any other questions?
I see a bunch of thumbs up.
Awesome. Make sure you like the stream on the little like button. It's up at the top. Out of the comment section, you gotta go all up the top and hit the little thumbs up arrow, or the thumbs down to the stream if you dislike the stream. Chances are you're still here, so maybe you just do that out of spite, I guess. Either way counts as engagement. It helps promote it. We greatly I will probably just go ahead and do a video instead of doing a live stream on the hardening and tempering of this hammer, so we can get it handled and use it on a little small project that I got planned for next week's live stream. I will go ahead and just shoot a video this upcoming week on hardening and tempering this specific hammer. It's going to go a lot in the same way that you harden other hammers and stuff that I've done on the channel, but I'll go ahead and do one specifically for this, so be on the lookout for that video this upcoming week before next week's live stream. I should have that up and going, and I might title it, you know, finishing and hardening and tempering live stream hammer, wrought iron hammer or something like that. Just do a real quick video on it. That way you guys don't feel shortchanged on that. Good?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, thank you all for being here with us on a Friday night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about stuff and work here at the Forge. I hope you all have a blessed evening and a blessed weekend full of lots of fun and whatever you guys are getting yourself into. And Father's Day weekend's next weekend coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So happy Father's Day to all of you out there. I will still be doing a Friday night live stream. In fact, I believe I have somebody coming over to the Forge on Saturday, don't I? I have a...
Not this Saturday?
Yep, the upcoming Saturday.
Tomorrow,
Not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Yep.
Yep.
During Father's Day weekend, I got somebody coming up to the Forge and picking up some tooling and going to play around the Forge a little bit. And so that ought to be a good time. But yeah, everybody out there, if you can't make next week's live stream, just wanted to say an early Happy Father's Day to you. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your week upcoming. And yeah, I think that's about it. Got anything else you want to say, Jess?
No, it's just answering Coffee's Forge. He said, what's your email again?
Yep, it's christcenteredforge@gmail.com. Yep, that's my email if you want to get a hold of me. It does take a while for me to get back to people. Coffee's Forge, I'll be looking for you specifically because, like I said, I want to talk to you. Yeah, and that's about it. Remember to go check out the blacksmith cheat sheet if that's something you're into. If you haven't got one yet, I'm sure that's probably repetitive now to the people that's already bought it. Get used to it. If people don't know about it, they can't buy it. So we put it out there in every way we can.
Yep.
Try to help as many people as we can.
And make sure to swing by the Monday night live stream too if you don't have anything going on, or if you want to learn about doing a blacksmithing business.
Yep. If you want to ask questions about business and blacksmithing, that's the perfect place for it. Is on our Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live stream. So hope to see you all there. All right. Well, that's it. God bless you all. Thank you all so much for the super chats. We do appreciate you. And yeah, have a great weekend.
Yep, definitely.
Have a great weekend. So, all right, everybody. We'll talk to you all later. God bless you. Bye.